It is 6 p.m. on March 31st, 2022. Can I please have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. So you know, our meeting's being recorded. It is being recorded via WCAT 12, which is also broadcasting live, also via Zoom. So that's what the cameras up on the TV are for. And we're also streaming live via Facebook, so everybody knows. When you please come up and address the board, identify who you are and what board you're with, or committee, or wherever you work for the town, okay? All right. So first thing we have is Finance Committee budget. Come on up, Alan.
Alrighty, Madeline Wachowski, Finance Committee.
Okay.
It's short and sweet. I don't think it probably changed in 15 years. It should be 40,000 for the reserve account for transfers, and the 2,000 expenses always stayed the same. That would be for the dues for the Mass Association, and then also the printing of the omnibus budget.
Do you guys have any questions about FinCom's budget?
No, I don't have any questions.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Jim?
I already said.
I was just commenting, it got bumped down. The numbers got bumped down a line from the line items. So it says reserve account, but it's blank.
Oh, the reserve account should be 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, your numbers are bumped down a row
Oh,
from the
okay.
descriptions, which isn't a big
The
deal on
numbers
a
haven't changed.
three-line.
Just error.
Yeah.
Well, I'll-
So just before it goes
Yeah,
to
that-
the, get printed.
No, that's not what gets printed. The omnibus budget
Right.
for is not that.
Yeah,
Right. It's a whole different form.
right.
So we're good. We have
Yeah.
no questions,
Okay.
level funded, simple enough.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Do you have anything else for us?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
We're gonna be talking Saturday, right?
Yes, we are. We'll be spending a lot of time talking on Saturday.
I wouldn't think it should be too long.
So, next item is landfill and Board of Health. Come on up, Brianna.
Okay, I'm Brianna Dunn, Board of Health.
All right.
You ready?
So what do you have for us tonight?
All right, we're just going over the landfill portion, right? Okay. So operations is level funded from last year. Engineering, we decreased by 10,000. That number is based off of the proposal that we have for Barton and LeJudas.
Okay.
That's the same engineering company that we had, but we have a contract in place with them now.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're actually gonna get out there?
Yes, and if not, we have that contract, and now we're all pretty well
Enforceable.
aware of it, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Monitoring wells went up 5,000, that is based on lab costs. There's about 30 wells that are tested annually. Then, let's see, the landfill removed vegetation and stabilized banking, that's a doozy. We need to get that west landform vegetation managed. We have been unsuccessful at getting a number from landscaping companies. I aimed high, the whole board aimed high, that way we don't end up in a pickle halfway through the year, or, you know, we get somebody that can do it and then we don't have the money. This is something that has to be done to get us back into compliance with DEP.
So right now, we're currently out of compliance with DEP because the vegetation's not being trimmed back and it's not being maintained.
Right,
And this is at the old landfill, correct?
correct.
So when we address the landfill, everybody gets worried that we're
It should be
closing
more clear.
the
Yes,
current
the
landfill down, we're
old
not.
Yes.
All right,
Supplies is level funded, leachate decreased, I put that down by 3,000, I didn't go down too much on that, the whole board, we didn't go down far. Looking at past records in the accountant's office, we don't touch a lot of that money, so I put it down a little bit, just because, I mean, there's no reason for it really, to have all that in there. And then, yeah, that's it.
so overall, how much did your budget go down?
It
When-
went up.
By how much?
Let's see, I don't know, I didn't take the old numbers with me. So, let's see. I think before it was at 92,000, so it went up
It's
a lot.
95 too, I think.
Oh,
95 too.
So the thing that really got you is the landfill removal, the vegetation.
yes.
Okay. All right. You guys have any questions about the landfill?
Nope.
Eric?
No, sir.
Just for.
Madeline?
No, I mean, it's just some FYI. Even though they don't generally use it, in, what was that, 2011, when we lost power for a week in that, with all that snow and the meltdown, the Board of Health had to write to DOR for emergency spending because they went through the 15,000 like there was no tomorrow. So if there was a severe incident like that, again, that foot of snow, the leachate was just crazy. They probably spent twice as much, so I think it's wise to keep it up a little.
What does the leachate do?
So the leachate is all the decomposition from the landfill. It gets all those juices at the bottom, and there's a pipe that puts it all into a tank. It's pumped out monthly, it's pumped out once a month by Slims and Berthium, it's like $150 to $175 a month. I don't think we even spend $5,000 out of that, really, right now. But, I mean, it's something we have to keep an eye on, because as time goes on, more stuff is gonna be proposed, obviously.
But right now, we're
But I
not
didn't
using
look
it.
far back into 2011, but just the past couple of years, yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, Madeline.
Yeah, it was just FYI, that's all.
Yep.
Is that?
As far as
I'm
that,
getting
yes.
nervous.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know.
You're making me
Talk in
nervous.
front
Oh my
of
God, I don't know if I
get-
can talk anymore.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wow.
Oh. So, the rest of the Board of Health, what are you doing with that?
We already had our
You already
meeting.
did that.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're good with that then?
yeah, we're
Yeah.
just a
Oh.
landfill.
No, all right, easy enough. Well, you guys good. Very simple. All right, nothing else? All right, I think we're good. You good with that?
Yep.
You good?
Yes, sir.
So good, thank you.
Thank you.
And are you guys gonna have somebody come in on Saturday with FinCom and us to address any others? You don't have to, but if you would like to, we're gonna be
It'd be a lot of
talking about
fun.
these a little more.
If we're talking about, something out of here, somebody from our department will be there.
Okay,
Whether it's me or somebody from the board,
very good.
we'll be there.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Next item, library's budget. Hello, ladies, how you doing tonight?
Sure.
It's been about a year since we last seen you all.
No.
Where have you all been hiding?
At the library. We've been hiding with COVID. I don't think I've been here in 2 years.
Oh, boy.
We were here. You were here last year. I guess we didn't all come. A lot of us were still staying quiet.
Okay. So what do you have for us tonight for budget? First of all, identify who you are.
Sure. Okay.
Okay, I'm Barbara Larkin, I'm president of the board of directors of the library. Tracy Mazer.
Jean McCarthy.
And what are your positions?
Or
Board and,
Vice President.
okay, all right, thank you. Again, we know who you are, but we're on TV and everything else, so people that are out there, they may not know who you are.
and Tracy is clerk.
Okay, very good. All right, so what do we have here?
Well, you've seen our budget, right?
107,788,
Okay,
and it's up about 10%, to be clear. And most of that is salaries meeting the minimum wage guidelines and adding just a little bit more, and also fuel, electricity. Those are basically most of the things that are up. We also did add some money to building maintenance because of about $3,000, so that we, because we have a lot of issues around our historic building that we need to maintain. Those are basically, basically what it is. Our books and magazines look higher, but we have to maintain 19% of what is given to us by the town. So that is connected to our budget request. That is our state standards.
what's the COVID-19 for $500?
Well, those are our supplies that we continue to need to buy, masks, the kinds of things that we've been supplying for the past 2 years to keep people safe in the library. And we have
Okay.
actually spent significantly more than that in previous years.
Last year, we spent $2,200 on things like plexiglass hand sanitizers, masks, gloves. We reopened as soon as we could. We had staff in there, we didn't have patients, but we had staff and we had curbside delivery, so people needed to be protected. $2,200 is a big chunk of a budget like ours. So part of the reason some of our expenses might be up is because we were cutting things short. That really hurt. We thought that we participated in the application that the town made for the CARES money. We were told that it was thought that we were eligible because we're town funded, even though we're independent. We thought that the funds came, but we never heard a word and we never got a dime. So that's made us short. The other thing, a couple of other things that have gone up a little bit, and again, just because our budget is so small, the impact is big.
Mhm.
The building insurance is 10% higher than it was a couple of years ago. The sewer fee, everybody in town knows that, took a big jump.
Mhm.
Well, in a little budget like ours, that's a huge raise. You know, it went up 15%, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of complaints all around. So it's a lot of little things. Then also on the salaries, we're paying the director a little bit more because for the 9 years that we were level funded, most of those years she got no raise at all. And it's time to bring her up just like everybody else so that we can stay open and provide service.
We were
And we're not arguing about that, we're working with you to talk to you, and so we understand the budget a little better.
Right, 10% may sound a little bit high, but really because we have such a small budget to begin with, it really is almost nothing when you think about it, in terms of the whole total.
So the COVID-19 supplies, don't we have a substantial amount of supplies left?
They've never been offered to us.
We've never been offered
Have you
anything.
ever asked?
No, we haven't
Well,
asked.
Well, we didn't know that. it
What
was-
kind of supplies are there? We can tell Kim to come over here. Things like,
Mr.
baskets.
Dusty?
Yeah, we have a substantial supply of wipes, hand wipes and surface wipes and sprays, gloves, masks. And
Okay.
I think anything that you are buying, the last time I checked, and I just checked today down where they're located, we have lots of that we could provide.
That's
You
wonderful.
will.
That's
Yeah.
great
Who has
news.
to ask?
So we can help you.
So, and how would we go about doing that? Contact you?
Yes.
Okay.
Contact Karen.
Okay.
And
Okay, we'll have.
I'll get
we'll
back
have
to you.
Okay,
Kim-
we'll have
let
Kim do
call
that.
you directly.
We won't spend any money, we can cross that right off.
Awesome, saving money already.
How much is that?
500?
It's just 500.
No, it's
test kits, could we
Yeah,
get
for,
them?
for next year, we
For
only
next
put
year,
500
yeah.
in.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Lots of test kits too.
Would you want test kits that people could come when they come to the library if they wanted a test kit?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay.
Yeah,
We have those
I know
for you,
the Board
too.
of Health has those.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk
I
to
bet a lot
Brianna.
of folks would find it easy to get it when they come to the library.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
We could help you out with those too.
Great.
All right. We know the fuel's going up, that's going up for everybody.
Right, and
Unfortunately,
we-
that's not expense that is going down for anybody
And,
this year.
and we actually, of course, submitted this before the war and before things really
Yeah.
started to go up. So I'm sure that what we've got down here will not even begin to cover what our cost will be, but.
Okay.
Well, unless maybe they should roll the COVID into the fuel or something.
Well, we're not, we can do that. I mean,
Yeah.
we're
We
not
have
a
line
line
item
item.
autonomy
Yeah, we
to
have-
do it. This is just the way we present it, this is what we expect to spend on each thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
Yeah.
What you.
But
the
one
funds
thing we
get
don't
from the
want you to
town
do
is-
is underestimate fuel, because it is going up. If that's what you feel it is, the 3,500, that's what you're gonna cost, then fine.
Last year it
Okay.
was 3,200, so, we don't know.
It's, yeah.
But being able to get COVID supplies
If we
here
could
is gonna
roll-
give us a little savings.
Roll
that
that
we can-
$500 amount into that line, that would be fine. I mean, we can do that, but I mean, just so
So
that.
we'll just turn the 35 to 4,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this way
Sure.
you're covered for your fuel expenses because it is going quite a bit
Yeah,
up. And if you didn't lock in a rate, you guys are running on oil?
yeah.
Did you lock in a rate?
No, not that I'm
Yeah.
aware of.
It's quite expensive right now.
I got oil today, it was $3.90, no, $4.90.
490,
$4.90.
Are you
490.
kidding?
almost $5 a gallon, so.
Yeah, so 4,000 will probably not even probably cover it, but that will, if we move that 5,000 over there,
To the
that would be
500.
great. 500, sorry.
Yeah. All right.
We have a funny system too, that they come and bring huge amounts of oil. I can't imagine what the bill's gonna be. It's a large tank.
Mhm.
It's not filled that frequently, and when it is, there are a lot of gallons, so it's gonna
Mm.
probably be a real sticker shock the next time they
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Pray we don't have a really cold winter next year.
Right, or spring happens fast and doesn't get cold. That, we reduced office supplies a little bit. It's not noted here, but we will have a little bit of additional expense for our bookkeeper, because we've asked her to do more things with the state requirements for taxes, and
Yes.
the 503C,
That's it.
504C3 line, that will be up a little bit, and and that was after we submitted the budget. Travel's the same.
Well, do you need to raise that to cover that bookkeeping?
Do you remember what she was going to charge, $250 or?
I've never heard a figure on that.
I thought it was another $250.
That sounds right to me.
Yeah,
It wasn't a lot.
it wasn't a lot, but it was another $250, so that, we raised that to $1,750, that would cover.
So bookkeeping to 1750?
Yeah.
And we are always very frugal. I mean, often when the year comes to an end, some of these little lines haven't spent as much as we thought they might, then others have spent more, but we are operating, somehow we've been squeaking by, we're not quite sure. Last year was the first substantial increase the libraries have had in years. And then the year prior to that, there was a pretty good one, but those 9 years killed us. And we're
So-
still trying to get over it, and if we sound like we're like being defensive, it's because we're used to it, and we're used to it. We know that 10% seems like a lot to everybody, but we're just hoping that, you know, the Board of Selectmen, the Finance Committee, and the townspeople will understand that we're trying to run an operation that's really important to this town, and we're having trouble. We just had to hire a new staff person, and Kim told me that it's the most difficult time she's had getting somebody
Because of,
time.
because of our
what we're paying.
salaries. And our salary levels are not comparable to the other salaries of other libraries in the area.
It's a common theme through this town.
It is, it really is, and, you know, how do we raise us all up is the big, big question.
We're looking at ways. We're trying to find ways to do that without burdening the taxpayers. Because, again, we're a very poor community, and we have to be frugal with the taxpayers' money. But we are exploring avenues to bring other ways of bringing a revenue source within our community that can help with us and help with a lot of these things. So this, we're all actively working it, and you guys don't see the amount of hours we put into trying to do some of these things, but it's quite a bit to, because we're trying to look out for the residents. And
That's really important.
we all live here too. We don't want our taxes to go up. We want to see them keep on going down. But we also want the best resources we could possibly have within our community.
You want quality services, and
Yes.
that's what the library is, and it provides much more than books, as you all know. You know, it's computer services, it's all kinds of activities, it's checking in on people, it's just a whole lot. It's a really important resource for kids and adults. And it's just a little, it's just a little piece of our town, but it's a beautiful building.
We
and
need to have a
it's-
library. The library is very important within a community because a lot of people aren't using laptops and stuff like that and going online. A lot of people like to go to a library and, I know you guys rent movies, or you can check out movies, you can do all kinds of things, and there's a lot more that libraries offer than just books. There's other things that they do.
And books are so expensive that.
And books are expensive.
And we can get anything, just absolutely anything through the Central Mass Library Exchange, anything you need. I mean, even very, very, odd kinds of books, you can get it.
And I have to say, to be honest, to full disclosure, I've never been in your library.
We would love to
And I
invite you
would
all to
love,
come.
because one of our things is we take tours of all the buildings in the town. And I would love to be able to go into your library and see if we can see it for ourselves and go through. And I know our new town administrator, Jim Ferrara, I don't know if you've got a chance to meet him yet. He's very much, very engaging with the community and wants to go see these things for himself too.
Well, we would love to have you anytime, and, or to come to a meeting, or to just come and take out a card and take out a book.
Just walk in when the library is open, or contact one of us, any one of us, and we'll.
We'll probably set up a meeting,
Yes.
because we have to post it to do
Yeah,
that.
That's right.
So we'd have to post it, and we can do a tour and,
Yep.
check out the library and, see the wonderful things you do for the community.
Okay, that would be wonderful.
And see the beautiful building. It's
Yes,
really
it is a nice
beautiful.
looking building, very nice. So do you have any questions about?
So the grants line, $500, and are there other grants available?
Oh,
As income?
We usually get something from the Quabog Historical Society.
Society. We did get a grant, I believe, of a few $100s last year. I don't have that here. And we have also gotten grants to restore and repair our building. We've gotten 2 grants. One is actually forthcoming at this point in time. We've been painting, if you've noticed, all the windows, 99 or 105 windows in that library, all needed to be repaired and repainted, and Jean actually applied for, and we haven't received the money yet, but we will
We have to
receive.
finish the project.
We have to finish the
rain
project.
interfered. We got a USDA rural development grant.
Oh,
It's our second one. We got one for roof repairs a few years ago, so You know, fortunately, there are those things, because when capital projects are happening, you know, the town is not supporting because the town doesn't own the building, so that's been a problem for a long time. But it's nice that some of those sources are out there. They're not that easy to get, but they're helpful. But that doesn't show up, obviously, on our budget, that's above and beyond.
That's,
Just so you know, and, how we survive some of those things, we've been.
Well,
fortunate to
we're
get
all
a couple
about
of
grants. We talk about it pretty much every meeting, and I'm sure we've had several meetings lately about grants. And that's another way we can offset costs for residents, is by going after grants. Because if we don't get them, another community gets them.
absolutely.
So we need to aggressively go for those grants and get that money for our community, make it better. So,
So at the Christmas tree lighting celebrations, I was talking to Todd Smola and the gentleman who will be our senator in a year.
Mhm.
His name, I am
Eric Lesser?
Eric,
Lesser.
yes. And he talked, and he is actually head of the library committee in the Senate, and talked about that there was significant money available there. So that might be something we could work with you folks on in, you know, figuring out how to apply for those grants and see what's there that could actually benefit the library. And we're, you know, if we ever could push the library out and have some renovations done and make it truly accessible, those are kinds of things that we would like to look for. So that would be great if we could, you know,
Sure,
use your,
absolutely.
help you and you help us
Oh, yeah.
resource-wise.
that's what we're here for, is to work together and get these things done and make sure you guys can keep on providing the valuable resources you do within our community. And we'll help in any way we can, especially with grants. You know, those are easy. All we gotta do is apply for them. Worst they say is no. And then apply for others. And if we get some, it's a win. Even if we get one, it's a win for us.
Right.
You know, it's more money than we had before, you know?
And having a new resource of a person to work
Yes.
with you
Yeah.
will be really important for that.
And he's a very bright guy. He definitely can help you, and we have other resources that we can reach out to pick minds for grants, and Rich is kind of our grant guru too, so.
So those, would, you know, if we had a meeting together and you came and toured the library, those would be a lot of things we could talk about together.
Very good.
That'd be wonderful.
Just a question, do people expect that there will be more state grants with some of the money that, you know, COVID money seemed to go to states, not to municipalities, so is that gonna mean that the states, some of these agencies, number one is like Mass Historical Commission is a prime example, they haven't been making grants in years. And I just wonder if the state's gonna be in a better position.
Well, a lot of these grants
Those funds, they're not gonna directly give us money to do what we want, but
Well, a lot of these
will we be able
grants-
to access more state money?
again, a lot of these grants are competitive, and you have to apply for them. They don't just come and say, here's money, here's a check.
Right.
You have to go after them.
But some of these
And
agencies, the well was dry for a while, and I just wonder if federal
Well,
funds
it-
have made it any better.
it's
If anybody
always-
knows.
It's always, they focus on certain areas, and then those areas dry up, and then new areas pop up. So you always gotta be exploring grants and looking for them and see if you apply for anything, well, you qualify for anything. And then as soon as you do, if you even remotely think you can, go after it, you know, we'll help you. But there's so much out there. There's state grants, federal grants, USDA grants, you know, there's all kinds of grants out there. It just takes time to find those. And, you know, sometimes you go on those grant sites and you're like, oh my God, there's just so much. And you gotta find your little niche where, you know, what you actually can get. So, but, we'll help you in any way to help get those.
Well, we really feel that tonight, we feel quite supported by you, so that's
Yes.
really very, I don't know, heartening, I guess.
Well, we try to be. You know, sometimes we gotta be the bad guys on certain things, and we try to be the good guys most of the time and be helpful.
Well, the
And-
town has not had, the resources in the past to.
Well, we're
get
changing
along.
things. Things, as you notice, we got more technology, the buildings are getting cleaned up, we're bigger maintenance, we're fixing things around here. We got a new town administrator to help, and we're doing quite a bit to move in the right direction. And we want you guys to move in the direction with us, and all you gotta do is ask, when you need help, reach out to us. We're here to help you. We don't know if anything's wrong unless you say, hey, we need help, and we'll be there for you. So, okay,
Well, thank you very much.
and do you have any other questions about that?
I'm good.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have 2 comments.
Sure.
So you guys are here for Warren Library and West Warren Library?
Just one.
Just Warren.
Just Warren Library, okay. I'm very glad to see you here. The library is awesome. My kids enjoy it. We've been there many times. I love the building. I'm a former architect. I love going in there. We haven't been there lately because of the COVID, but hopefully we're controlling COVID a little bit better now. And I know my kids will be looking to go there again. So
Wonderful.
this place, you will enjoy with your little kids.
Well, I know my kids have been there. I haven't been there, but my kids have.
The second thing is, many years ago, your librarian asked me if I could donate one of the products that we donated to the schools, which is Red Dot. I don't know if you're aware of it. And they had it for some time. Now we had it again. So if you want it, it's a alarm system that is connected to the police. And it's there for you for free if you want it. The same thing, we have a mass notification system that we use to announce events for the residents in Warren. If you want to use that one too, if you want to, learn a little bit about more, come to us and we'll show you everything that, you have it.
So the alarm system, I think that would be, the red dot, we've already done it.
We've
done
done-
the library.
I think we've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had it. Many years ago, we give it to the schools, and then your librarian came to me and asking, can you help me? And she says, I need that. So we gave it to her. Now, we have the new version,
Oh, it's a new.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm asking you, if you want it, you have it. It's there for free.
Okay, we will have Kim contact you all.
Karen.
Yeah.
That's the best way to contact you for that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
And I don't want to know that you're going to come back here in 1 year. I want to see you here more often. Even if I'm not here, I want to see you here more
Oh,
often.
well, that's
Thank you.
great, thanks. Thanks, that's great.
And we'll always listen. If you have any issues, just bring them to us. Let Karen know or Jim know, and you're always welcome.
Thank you very much.
You can always come in, okay? Do you have anything else about the budget,
No, sir.
Jim?
I'll be in touch with you guys to set up the meeting with the Board of Selectmen to do a tour of the facility.
Okay, that's great.
Okay.
Our normal monthly meetings are the first Wednesday of the month, but if that's not a good time for you, we can probably find another
Okay,
time.
we'll set something up, I'll be in contact with you and see what time works best for the board and for you guys.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Oh, hold on. Not on the hot seat yet.
Okay.
Do you have anything else for us?
We do not.
Okay. Does anybody from the audience have anything? Madeline?
No, I just, they do get some, they call it a MEG grant from the state that the town gets for the libraries. It's not a lot of money, maybe 10,000 or 15,000, and then it's split between the two towns. So it's an automatic, just like the Council on Aging gets a state grant.
Are you aware of that?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's state
Okay.
aid. That's on our
State
budget.
aid.
It's listed on
All
our
right.
budget
It's
as
listed as
state aid.
5,900.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
And it's West Warren.
And you guys
each
have
get-
split it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
so.
All right, very good. Thank you very much, ladies. West Warren? Nobody from West Warren?
I think,
And they didn't put anything else, they just,
yeah, all they said was, David, that the 2.5%, that's what it said on our sheet.
yeah.
One other sheet, you turn the page. You get your breakdown.
Okay.
Did you get the breakdown now?
So, thank you.
So I take the state association fees is only $15?
That's what it says.
Insurance went down? Computer services went away? 0? Another one for COVID supplies.
Why do they pay almost double for CWRs?
Looked at it before you looked.
3,500 for Warren and 6,700 for West Warren.
See if I can get them to come next week.
Yeah, it'd be good to have them come in,
Yeah.
so we can identify, you know, they should be presenting their budget, so we could ask them questions.
Okay. Okay, we'll do that.
Right.
Can I
We'll,
just tell
table
you-
up. Yes,
Tell
ma'am.
you a couple things on this, if you don't mind, just, it's a FYI for your information.
Mhm.
As you see it noted on the bottom of theirs, it says it's a 2.5 required increase.
Yep.
The libraries in the state of Massachusetts is the only one that has a required increase. And as Jean was saying, where all those budgets were cut, they were under, so myself and then Tammy hasn't done it, but I have. So every year, when they were below the minimum and we didn't give them the 2.5 increase, I had to fill out all this information on the town's budget and this and that, so that they would get that state aid grant. So, but it looks like the last 2 years, since you increased them, they met that, so they haven't had to apply for the waiver. So that's what other information's talking, appropriation where it says waiver, that's what that was about, because they did get a 2.5% every year.
Okay. All right, so we'll just have them, we'll table it to next meeting,
Yeah.
have them come in. Need some more information. Okay. So, Parks and Recreation budget, pay scale.
So I'm Sue Ramsey, I'm a park commissioner. We have lots of changes. As you know, we have big discussions about shifting some of our resources.
Hold
So,
on 1 second, Sue.
yeah,
Do we have their budget?
It should be right there. Right before police.
Oh, okay, so after,
Wait, I thought you said it wasn't in here.
I just gave it to you, and then I put it in theirs, so you have.
No, you gave me,
looks like the.
sewer.
Wait a minute, I
think it's still on the printer.
Is it still on the printer?
Yeah, we don't have that one.
Okay, then.
Sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
Not this, right?
No, it's got some corrected. So we submitted our budget request for level funded budget prior to meeting with Highway and Selectmen and Cemetery about shifting some of our maintenance. We have the same amount under commissioner salaries, 4,500, that's split between the three commissioners. Our park salary, we're reducing to $4,000. So where, as we agreed, most of our maintenance things will go over to being funded out of the highway budget. But we still do need to have some salary, so that when we hold events like concerts and movies and dances, we can pay some of the people that we normally pay to help clean and sell concessions and do what we need to do for those events. Park expenses, $12,000, so that's roughly the same. Our Cummins Pond salary needs to be cut to $2,500. The pond will be closed, but because our swimming season spans 2 budgets, it usually starts in June. We'll need a little bit so we can start,
The next year.
yes, at the end of,
2024.
at the end of June.
Okay.
That'll be 2023, correct?
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
I wrote that and then I thought, I hope I'm saying that right, but yes, so we would have a little bit of startup in June in this budget, and then the next one hopefully will be back to normal.
Okay.
So we expect that that will increase once the pond's all fixed. Cummins Pond expenses, 1,000, because we will have to start up that season. And then summer recreation expenses, 2,500, so for a total of 26,500.
You went from 49,400 to 26.
Right, so the difference really is money that's going to help fund the maintenance stuff through highway.
Yep.
As well as Cummins Pond, things that we won't need in this budget year.
Very good. Do you have any questions?
No, looks good.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Jim?
No.
Do you have anything else for us?
Any questions, Madeline?
No.
I was going to her next. Does anybody else have any questions? No? All right. Very good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good to see you, Sue.
Okay, sewer department was moved till April 7th.
No.
Well, we have it, so we can go over it if we want, unless you want to save it.
Well, nobody's gonna be here to present for it, huh?
Yeah.
They're not coming?
Are they gonna come on the 7th?
I'm.
Most likely not.
think so. They don't like to come tonight.
Yeah, they're refusing to come to our meetings.
All right, so
I'm sorry.
we'll bump it to the 7th, and then we'll just review it as it is, right?
Yeah, I'd give them another chance, say, hey, get in here, present your budget. Everybody else is.
Yep.
If not, we'll set it at what we need it to be
I'll talk to you.
Well,
I'll call you.
with FinCom's recommendations.
no, but they're, okay, they don't affect the budget. They're an enterprise fund, and on the sheet of the, I assume it's the same as the one that I have, explains where they're getting the money from. So, as far as the omnibus budget that I'm working on, the book for town meeting, that does not go in there. That's an article because they pay for themselves.
Okay.
I mean, you can tell them to come in, but I'm just saying that for us to get this book done, you know, to give out at voting, that doesn't pertain to us.
Okay. I know we have to talk to them about the issues that are over there, about the budget, so. You guys want to move them? Give them an opportunity to get in here?
Yeah, I'm just gonna give this back to you. So we're talking about sewer.
Okay. You good, Jim?
Yep.
move them to the next meeting, see if they come.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. All right. Town administrator budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. As you're aware, and everybody knows, town administrator's position is a contractual position. It's based on a contract and agreement between the Board of Selectmen and the administrator. That agreement was executed about 3 weeks ago. So the salary will stay the same throughout the 3 years of the contract, at the $90,000. Within the contract itself, calls for and provides for some educational components, along with some training, and the ability to join organizations in professional memberships to associations that would help benefit the town in keeping the administrator up to date with important initiatives and mandates as handed down from the state. With that, I did some calculations, looking at roughly about a budget of $4,000. That encompasses membership into the Small Town Administrators Association, the MMA, which is the Mass Municipal Management Association. That would also incorporate a function of one of the descriptions of the position that I have currently hold, as being the Chief Procurement Officer. This would allow me also to get certified as a public purchasing official, which is about $1,800 within itself. That's provided through the Inspector General's Office of the Commonwealth. It's really a critically important piece of training and to have certification. I know Tammy is in the process of getting certification. There's a 3-part series to get certified. But I think it would be beneficial to the town to have both myself and Tammy knowledgeable in that, and to keep up with the current trends and the current mandates as we progress into future projects, whether it be projects that are going to require RFPs or RFQs, whether it be projects that are that have vast construction involved, whether there's bonding capacities that are going to be negotiated with the state. I think that would help us, and it would also help us if we ever were to get audited by the Inspector General's office as well. This also incorporates membership into the International Town Administrators Association as well, the ICMA, which I think would also be beneficial to the town to have their administrator be certified in that particular professional department. These are certifications and associations that typically town managers or town administrators obtain in their course of their jobs. So these are not things that I necessarily just created. These are things that, if you look at other communities, these are similar associations, certifications that town managers or town administrators possess. And along with that, within that 4,000 would also encompass any travel that I may have to do. If I have to go down to the State House, or if I have to go down to Boston to a conference or anything, that fund would compensate for that. So it's pretty robust in terms of what it would compensate for. The salary is fixed for the 3 years. So that's what I wanted to propose.
Okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, so the MMA, we're already a member of the MMA
Yeah.
by the town, do you need to join separately as a?
Yeah, so there's a small membership fee. I think it's based on the salary of the town administrator.
Okay.
So it's a percentage of the salary. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah, I'm sure
It's
it is.
like $150 or something.
Yeah, okay.
But it is, it's a requirement. I spoke to the MMA. They actually, I think what they're gonna do is because of when I was brought in, they're gonna let me slide, this fiscal year and, and let me still be a member, but, we'll have to pay the dues for next fiscal year.
Okay.
Very good.
I'm all for it.
Very good. All right. You have no more comments about it? Any questions? No? Right. Very good, Jim. Thank you. All right. Review police budget with the pay scale. How you doing, chief?
Hello, Jerry Millett, police chief. So, since the last time I was in front of you, the only things that have changed is, I got the salary for the police clerk. So that was off the bylaws. And the other thing I did was add for the fuel, and my IT's going up. It's going up $75 a month, my
So-
IT. So that was the only addition was, the only change to when I was here first time was to the expense line, to add for extra fuel, and the IT, and then the police clerk, because I didn't know what her salary was gonna be.
Police clerk, that's on the third page, section 3, is that?
Yes.
Yes.
And then fuel and IT, where is that?
Fuel goes into expenses.
Oh, it's just, okay.
Yeah,
Section
so
5
I
is
budget
just-
for about $17,000 a year for fuel. And already in 6 months this year, I'm over 10.
Yeah.
And it's at almost 4.5 right now.
So you have somebody going to the Bridge Academy?
I have 3 gonna be going. I have 1 right now. They're doing it by last name, so it's A through H now, and it's gonna be I through, get the ending letter. It's a 3-year process.
much did you go up on your fuel expense?
I added to that line 3,300 for fuel, and my IT went up too. Hopefully that's enough.
Is that section 5 and 6?
That's expenses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's 5. 6 is utilities, heat, electric, hot water.
Just get to me. Oh, yeah. But I had back years ago. I just liked them.
That one I kept the same, so hoping it goes down with the new, when we move, 'cause prices. It's been a little over 10,000 a year to keep that building right now.
Yeah, hopefully it goes down.
Let's hope. Yeah, the 9th guy, I just put in a 6-month entry level, figuring we're gonna have to send somebody, because
For
the
the
last bunch
academy
of
and
times
stuff.
that I tried to hire, no one's applied with Academy. Hopefully that changes.
Yeah. You're very detailed within your budget. Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, there's a lot here, but it's, I'm good with it.
Mr.
good, sir.
Belize, do you have? Okay. Tim?
Chief, were you thinking of maybe adding any warrant articles?
I did put on for a car. We weren't sure what
Okay.
opera funding,
Yeah.
which way, so I put it in there just so it's there.
Karen has it?
Karen
Oh,
has it.
Okay.
And that's replacement vehicle or addition?
It's
Because I know you have one that's over $180,000.
Yeah, so get rid of that one.
Alright, so, alright. Is that one being used for a trade-in?
Probably sell it. Usually we go, Copart sells it first for no fee. That's what we did with the last one.
Well,
Yes, ma'am.
there's been discussion with, at finance, and Jim was there, about possibly, I don't know, maybe giving that to the animal control officer.
Do what?
Given to the animal control officer.
Oh, the
That's
police
between
car.
these guys.
Oh,
But we weren't gonna talk about it, I'm just mentioning it to him, that's all I'm saying. That had been discussed with Jim, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe we can talk about that.
Yeah, okay.
Chief. Yeah.
no problem.
Okay, so I still got a question. Two
Yes,
questions. Is this the corrected copy that you gave me, or is this a
Yes.
different one?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, yeah.
All right. On the, your clerk,
Yep,
you have her at 52.2 weeks. 52 point a day.
I believe so.
Yeah, she's supposed to be 52.
Just 52?
Yeah, because it's Monday through Thursday. The memo
Oh.
said Monday through Thursday. So I corrected it for you.
Yep. All right,
Right. For you, it's 52.2.
Yeah,
For her,
yeah,
it's
that's right.
52. That's
That's
all.
the
I just
clerk.
want to let you know if you see a different number, that's why.
not a problem.
Okay.
Very good.
I can make, that's easy enough to change.
Yeah, it's already in the omnibus. If you want to know, I'll tell you what it is.
Could you? That'd be even easier.
So, 28,750.
Oh, what did yours have?
Did you have the new rate? That's what,
Because I had 28,749.
I-
Maybe
I-
maybe I changed it?
maybe you fixed it on the last page, I don't know. But I know it said 52.2,
Oh,
so I
okay,
don't,
that might be what I,
that's That's what
Go to the last page.
Because if there's any sense, we round up.
Okay, yeah, yeah, I had that, I don't know what I did.
Yeah. Maybe it was the first one I saw, I don't know, it was one of the pages, Jim.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else for us, chief, for the budget?
Anything?
No? You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Okay. All right, anybody, don't get up yet, you're here. Anybody from the audience have any questions? No? Okay. Thank you very much, chief. All right. Okay, now we're gonna go through our budget again. Yeah, well, we keep on having changes. Seems like everybody's squared away. We keep on having things added. Okay. So, we're adding facilities custodian for a change. We're lowering it to a part-time position. And that's gonna be 16,000 a year, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's within, excuse me, the plan is to create a maintenance position for the town for buildings. And that individual is gonna be responsible for going through all the buildings, identifying maintenance issues, making sure the contracts, scope of duties, goes out to bid, and everything else that's related to all the town buildings. And they'll be ensuring that that stuff is being taken care of. With that, the facilities custodian is, that position's gonna be a little different, and it's gonna be basically janitorial services only. And going from that, that was the plan. So that position would have to be, it's gonna be dropped down with the intent that the other position's created, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then the other item that's been added is Memorial Day and Veterans Programs.
No, that was always there.
Okay,
Yeah, it looks
Remember I
like,
called you back and told you?
Yeah, it wasn't on the last time we discussed it.
Oh, okay.
So.
I told
Making
you.
them aware of it.
Okay, I'm just,
yeah.
all right.
So that's level funded at 3,000 for each year.
can we back up to facilities coordinator? So
Sure.
what, if it doesn't pass, then how do we deal with?
Getting the buildings clean.
Well, we would want to move custodian back up to 31.5, then I assume, right? Is that-
Mhm.
Well, you have to increase it because 31.5 is level funding.
Well, okay, all right.
No, you
So-
can't increase. You'd have to.
No, yeah.
What my recommendation is, you increase your custodian line,
Just in case,
okay, yeah.
and then after the position's created, then lower it?
Well, because they're gonna go over this, then you would put a hold on, you know how it was last year.
Mhm.
You would put a hold, and then you would make a motion to lower it
Yeah.
to 16,000. Because you can't increase, you always go higher, but you
Yeah,
can't.
that makes sense.
So the article would basically level fund it. If
So you
the other
wanna-
position's created,
Right. Cut.
then we can motion to lower it.
Correct.
Okay.
So-
Make sense?
Except, do you want to level fund it, facilities custodian, or do we want to bump it up?
Yeah, because the rate's gonna be different.
The custodian's position, you'd have to bump that up and put a hold on it.
Mhm.
No, they're talking about the hourly rate,
Oh.
the step. is
Yeah, we
what-
have to bump it up because the hourly rate would be different.
Right. So something higher than 31.5, right?
Yep.
I mean, we can-
Because the pay scale is higher, so we'd have to address it with the pay scale.
Okay.
Whatever the proposed pay scale would be, you know, we
Yeah.
have to use that.
Right. Yeah.
It would be $34,660.80.
34 what?
34,660.80.
661. We do all
Okay.
things like.
661 at the facility custodian minimum wage. But then in 1 month, if it's Jim, he goes up one step, so it's
So
actually
we have to go up.
1710. So that's what I should do, right?
Yep.
$35,705.
35,705.
35,705.
Okay.
And that is, Madeline, that is for 52.2 because he works Monday through Friday.
Correct.
Yep. Okay. So we're just gonna have to make sure we put the other articles in there correct and they fall in order. Because if that one doesn't get approved, that position, you know,
I mean, yeah, we
We
gotta have
to
somebody
fall
clean the
back.
buildings, you know.
yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
Very good. Thank you, madam.
You're welcome.
Okay. So what else do we got?
Legal?
Okay. Yeah, the legal fund is, we level funded it, but obviously that's an issue because we're getting very low for legal funds right now. Because, there's been, some unexpected legal expenses that have occurred. And we need to be able to fund those, where the town gets sued for miscellaneous things, or it's consultant fees for legal, or there's a variety of things that go into it that's adding those costs, and attorneys are not getting cheaper. And we also want to make sure that we're covering the town and making sure the town is not paying any additional fees for, say, fines or anything because of anything that may have happened. So I think we definitely have to increase that by a bit because we're already getting pretty low with our legal fees right now. So, did you have a recommendation, Jim, on what that should go to?
Well, you know, it's, we're at right now at about 78% of the funds have been already expended. You got about a little over $20,000 left in the account and about 3 months left. There's still some outstanding bills from what I understand from that Karen has and that Dawn may also have as well. So that's as of a report that was given to me yesterday, as of the 30th. So, you know, there's a possibility here that, you know, we have to obviously keep a track of what bills are out there that are still gonna be possibly coming in, and also trying to budget for next year. You know, it's tough to anticipate, you know, lawsuits. You know, it's very difficult. You know, a decision that could be made by a board could be challenged and could require legal action. So, you know, if we're at 78% right now, you know, maybe an extra $10,000 to get us to that 100, may be something that the board may want to consider. Also, the board may want to consider, as part of my role, coming on for next year, for this next fiscal year, is to kind of keep a track of all the legal actions that boards or departments are requesting. So if a board or a department head is requesting legal, maybe if they could notify the town administrator that, they're requesting it of some sort, so that we have a way of tracking these things as well, so we can anticipate for budget purposes, what we're expecting down the road, and we're not thinking that maybe any bills could, be still out there that we're waiting to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I would say 100 or even 105. So 10 or 15K increase.
What do you think?
I think Rich's suggestion is positive. A lot of the boards of the town, or they fall into, we don't know what to do, and law counsel it's very needed for some situations before falling into a situation where we have to pay fees for something. I think it's a good suggestion, which I support your 10 or 15.
Another thing that Selectman Velez also, kind of articulates there is that, some of these things that if we had a tracking system too, is that, just because a department may request legal doesn't necessarily mean they may need legal. There may be something that, we could research or contact, a state agency ourselves, or myself could contact a state agency and try to get a response to that department. So not necessarily a tracking system, but also trying to mitigate if a call is warranted to try to cut back on some of those costs.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely think the legal fees should be tracked, because they can get quite cumbersome. And there's just things we have to pay for legal services to use. But I've also seen situations where, we're kind of asking the same question, and that's costing each time. And then
Yeah.
when legal services are being asked for, because we all know if you call an attorney at night, or if you call them on the weekend, it's a lot more, okay? And God forbid you call them on a weekend and at night and a holiday. It's gonna cost us. So some of those things can kind of, we'll wait till Monday, if it's not a time-sensitive issue.
And then the board may also want to investigate an avenue, now that we're going to monitor this account from, obviously now until next year. And next year at this time, if we still come up against this, and, it's even growing even a little more, which I hope it's not, but if it is, the board may want to consider a possibility of bringing in legal counsel.
Okay.
As an employee?
As an employee,
Wow.
as like a solicitor or something, whether it be part-time or full-time or, in-house,
Yeah.
Communities do that. But I mean, that's an extreme, if you were seeing that this thing keeps growing,
Yeah.
and instead of.
I'm really hoping it doesn't.
Right.
I would like it to start going the other way.
Right.
But again, we do have an obligation to defend the town
Right.
with a lot of this stuff, because we are having some, I would say, meritless
Yeah.
things that are coming forward, but we also have to protect the town and make sure we're not just paying things to anyone or group because they demand they should have money.
Sure.
So we gotta make sure that the town's protected in every way. You know, I would say, you know, I'd be comfortable with going up to 100,000, I think 105. I'm hoping that, because, again, a lot of it was based on solar.
Yeah.
And a lot of these issues, that's kind of dying down right now.
Yeah.
With the new bylaws.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it keeps on going that way. And I just wanna make sure that it ain't the next thing that pops up. Because we do have community host agreements with marijuana facilities, which is actually becoming big. We need to work through contractual agreements with host community agreements. There are other expenses, and I think if we do 100,000, we should be good. I'm praying. And I think with your oversight and making sure we're being a little more diligent on what's being done, I think that would be very helpful also,
Okay.
so. You good?
Yeah, I'll just say, I think we have a bump now with solar issues. We'll have a bump in '23, also with solar issues. And
Yeah.
then I think it'll probably die down.
Yeah.
I like the legal review. I wanna make sure that departments aren't hobbled, though. I think in the
No,
past.
we don't wanna hobble 'em.
Especially on planning board, where it's easy to get sued. If you screw up, I think having access to legal is really important.
Oh, sure.
And frankly, we may need to do some review of things like zoning bylaws. Have they been written correctly? Even some of the procedures, because that's like a ripe area to get sued. I mean, probably more than any other department in the town, I would think. So if we can
Sure.
help planning with
Absolutely.
some stuff.
Yeah, I don't think the intent is to tell people no, they can't have legal.
No.
But it's more of, well, what are you coming for?
Yeah.
And making sure the
Can we
resources are
avoid,
allocated.
you know, I mean, is there a possibility, can we get the answer before going to legal, you know, type of deal?
I think you pointed out too, I have a feeling in just the almost year that I've been doing this now, that we probably asked similar questions
Yeah.
to legal and probably got the same answer. So it might even be good to have sort of a knowledge base of what we've asked in the past. So maybe when we ask it again, we go to you and say, hey, we have a question about this, and you
Right.
can check through.
I could check the tracking log to see if we've had that.
And then say, oh, well, okay, we got this opinion back then, and I think we're good to do this and that, so.
Yeah.
That would help, that would be huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, there has been times, I think, when we've consulted with a lawyer and they say, I thought I sent this to you already.
Right.
And I don't know if they mean they really did think they sent it and forgot it, or they gave us that opinion 3 months ago and it's in their head that they had already
Right.
opined on that, so then we ask the question again. So,
No, I think it's a really good idea to have the added oversight, again, to kind of track what's going on with the bills, because it's a significant bill, but it's a very important one
Oh, yeah.
for the community, so.
100 or 105, how much?
I'd say,
I think we're going with 100?
100 it is.
Okay.
yeah, we'll go with 100, just to make sure we're covered, and I think with your oversight and making sure that, you know, hey, you guys asked that question 6 months ago, and this is our answer,
Yep.
you know.
And by no means would I ever wanna, you know, for lack of a better terms, handcuff a department saying, no, you couldn't call legal. But just let's exhaust everything, let's look at, make sure we don't have anything already on file, and then we can proceed.
Yeah, okay.
I'm good with that.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I just want to say,
Yes, ma'am.
I know for the accounting, and I would assume probably the treasurer and possibly tax collector, the Department of Revenue has a legal, so, we, text them a message, they call us. I know when I was the procurement officer, we had 2 bids. The low bid came back with bad references, and they were gonna file a complaint, And Debbie Anderson, she works for the Attorney General, because it's under building, it's under the Attorney General, and she was good. I would call her up and say this, and she said, no, the cemetery building was one. This guy was gonna file a complaint because this company didn't come the day of the walkthrough, meeting, they weren't there. And, she told me, no, she said, you still have that option, to take him because he was the lower bid.
Right.
Even though he didn't attend that one thing, because it's always, the decision is always what's in the best interest of the town, where, on the other hand, if somebody's got a better price, it's a little more expensive, but it's the better deal, then you can do that too,
Right.
I was just saying, I don't know about any of the other, departments whether they have like a legal out there that they can reference, but I just wanted Jim to know.
And that's good resources to have, and it's good to have somebody centralized, so if somebody does come, you have resources too, that you can reach out to that are free.
Right.
And you can always go to the Attorney General's office
Sure.
too and say, hey, can I get some answers on this, because it's more relevant to you. So that helps out a lot. Thank you very much. So those are the major changes that we're looking at here. We still gotta work on the street lighting contract too, so, and that maintenance. Nice. Do you have anything else about any other parts of the budget?
No.
Did you have anything else that we missed? No? Okay.
You did good.
Do you have any questions?
sir.
Jim?
No, sir.
Anybody from the audience have any questions about the Selectmen's budget? No? Okay. All right, moving on. Okay. New telephone system for the Shepherd Building.
Jim has that. No, no.
Jim Dusty.
JD.
JD.
You want to address that now? Because I'll be up for other matters.
Yeah, you're right on after.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll just do everything at one time with you.
Okay.
Okay. So, new business? Okay, none?
I guess not. We would want to mention, this we got today.
Not until it's finalized.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, are you talking about the EDA?
No, although we should mention that, yeah. No, I was talking about lawsuit.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
no, not till it's finalized,
yeah,
so,
just to be sure.
yeah.
We under new business?
We're into new business.
Okay, I just have a question.
Oh, 1 second now.
Yeah.
So, do you have anything?
No, I want to mention the EDA, we got.
Yep. So, we did complete the EDA application today, and that's the Economic Development Agency?
Administration.
Administration, okay. So that application was submitted today and completed and submitted today with a lot of support from local politicians, and a variety of the towns got on board. Their town administrators and select boards also provided us letters of support for that also. And we greatly appreciate that, and that's gonna help us develop a master plan for the development of the Wrights Mill Complex. And this will identify all the needs for the town, for the infrastructure that will go into the project, of that size to get the mill complex up and running again, and how the town can support that job growth and the additional resources that are being utilized. As everybody knows, it's been closed for many years now, and is a great loss in jobs for the community. And now it's moving forward to open up with a lot of new businesses and a lot of new revenue sources for the town. But they need the town to have the infrastructure set to be able to do a project of that size. And this master plan will help identify all the things we need to do as far as our infrastructure, whether it's upgrading the wastewater treatment plant, the water departments, upgrading roads to access the facility, you know, a lot of these main roads that are coming in, secondary roads. So there's a large revenue source that we can get from the EDA as far as support in helping the town complete these projects. So that's very exciting. We're very happy that this is done. And we pray that the EDA accepts the application and allows us to move forward with this project, because it'll be really good for the community, and you know, hopefully going down a path to create a lot of jobs and other businesses within the community, and a great deal of tax revenue for the town. So we're very excited that that's happened, and everybody worked really hard towards it. And you know, I didn't know if we were gonna make that deadline, because when the EDA said, oh, the deadline's on the 31st, and we all just kind of like, the mouths just dropped open, like, what?
That was on the 10th.
That was on the 18th.
On the 18th.
On the 18th.
Oh, the 10th.
Yes, yeah, the 10th.
You had 20
So-
days.
So it was 183 page
Yes.
application. So, are you signed up?
That makes a difference. I think I'm okay.
Are you still signed in?
I think so. Everybody's still connected.
Does anybody on Zoom land still hear us? If somebody could say hi.
Yep, still working.
Okay, thank you very much. We got a sign that said that it was signed out on us, and we want to make sure you guys are still listening. Okay, all right. So again, we're very excited about this project and moving forward, and everybody worked really hard, and it was a very short time span, and everybody pulled it together, and it was amazing to see how all this support from surrounding communities came in to help us. And you know, between Todd Smola, Ann Goby, Elizabeth Warren, is it
Richie Neal.
Rich Neal, Palmer, I believe, submitted.
Palmer Town Manager submitted a letter of support, as well as the Brimfield Board of Selectmen Chair Susan Collins, the Quabog Valley Community Development Corp.
Okay.
Submitted a letter of support. The Chamber of South Central Mass submitted a letter, and Quabog Hills Chamber of Commerce also submitted a letter. Obviously, Rep. Smola, Senator Goby, submitted letters, and Senator Warren and Congressman Neal.
That's awesome.
Very good. So, and that was very short notice, and everybody pulled it together, and awesome job, everybody. And I know you guys worked really hard too. You know, Jim, Karen, you did an outstanding job, and thank you very much for everything you've done. You do a little bit too, Rich. Derek too. You all did good, and it shows when we all work together how we can get something done in a very short time.
Yeah, it was definitely a team approach, and can't thank Karen enough, and Chris from.
Chris Dunphy.
Chris Dunphy, and Carrie was
awesome.
Sawa. She came in, and as Karen can attest, on a early morning at 7:15, she was here helping us. You know, they really worked hard for us, so, and we're gonna do something, you know, to recognize that, so.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
And even Dex Trust, right?
Dex Trust pulled it together and,
Angel.
yeah, Angel,
Right.
yep. So, it's good,
Yeah,
right?
it's a big win.
So, do we have anything, any other new items?
I don't think so.
Anything new? Jim, new?
Oh, okay. We took a tour of the sewer department today,
Yes, we did go through the sewer department
just to
today.
look at the four of us, just to take a look at the building, find out what some of their issues are, thinking about the development with Dex Trust, with how that's gonna impact.
Yeah.
Sean leaving, so we have, you know, personnel things we need to deal with, so.
Yeah. Yeah, they need quite a bit of maintenance over there, and they need some stuff upgraded over at the sewer department. It was very nice to be able to see that and get to talk with the guys over there and see the struggles that they're having with some of the equipment, and it was very, very good to see.
Finally got to see the grit screw.
And we finally seen that grit screw, that $100,000 screw.
Yeah.
It was 100 plus now, isn't it?
Yeah, like 125 or.
120.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to get into grit screw making. But yeah, that was very good to see. Okay. Did you have anything there? New business?
No, sir.
Jim? No, sir. Karen, we miss anything? And does anybody have anything in the audience? Who did? No?
My question's a Saturday question, so
Oh, okay.
I thought of it after.
Yes, you are bringing donuts. Oh.
You like dipping?
Always the cops.
Oh, you got the cheeks.
Always need their donuts.
I make fun of you.
You brought it up.
I personally like the coffee cake muffin.
All right, so old business. Report of 50,000.
JD?
Yep.
Mr. Dusty. So this is the status of the $50,000 that we had for the maintenance of the Shepherd Building. Correct?
Correct. Jim Dusty, building custodian. I've been here the last couple of weeks, I guess, reporting on it, but just to give you an update of where we are, we've had over close to 15 improvement projects, which represents long-term solutions for issues with this building. Very significant solutions that we shouldn't have to be concerned about for many years, which actually would increase the useful life of this building, and that's why we're doing it. So there was there was $50,000 at a special town meeting that was allocated, and to date, we have spent $42,646.27. Now, there are a couple items that I reviewed in getting the printout from Tammy, the accountant, that I have some questions, but they weren't significant. And she did not have all of the items that have not actually been completed yet, but they've been started. So there's a lot, there's more that has actually been committed to and spent than she had on her readout, but that'll all balance out in the next couple of weeks. So we now have a balance of a little less than $7,500 in that account.
Okay.
We do have one or two possible projects that we could allocate the rest of that money towards, and we should probably talk about that. I'd like to think about it a little bit further and let you know other things that would be very helpful to do with that money.
Okay.
So that's what we have. I didn't list all these specific items, but they were significant, and you should be aware of all of them because I've been reporting them to you over the past several months at least. So that's where we are. Do you have any specific questions with regard to that?
No, again, a lot of that money went towards, we did the floors in this room.
Right.
In the selectman's office, because the floors were pretty beat up and, you know, we had floorboards coming up, nails were coming up, there were a variety of issues. We also had, if you notice through some of the hallways, in the stairwells, we had paint that was chipping and falling down from the ceilings. That was pretty bad. That was stripped out and repainted. We also had a lot of trash removal done throughout the building. How many dumpsters did we take out of here so far now?
2 full dumpsters.
Okay,
Yeah,
just
and-
from this building alone?
Right, just, well, no, actually, one of the dumpsters was at Station B, the fire station B in West Warren, and Chief LaVoy did, get rid of a lot of items that they no longer required, and that freed up some space at Station B for him.
Okay.
And that one has been emptied out, and it's ready to be filled up from the senior center right across the street. Getting quotes on cleaning out that basement. As you know, it's a real mess. There's stuff there that's been there for years. It's a dirt basement, so you get a lot of moisture coming up. So I've got 2 quotes already and a third one coming in, and I'd like to get that accomplished this month, get that all cleaned out.
Yeah, that was an issue because down in the senior center, there was a lot of mildew and mold developing on a lot of the stuff that they just laid down in the dirt over years, and that stuff has rotted, and nature has taken over. So a lot of that stuff is going to be taken out of there and disposed of properly. Another big project that we completed was the cap on the old boxing ring, those rooms in there.
Right.
Those rooms were also cleaned out. There used to be a boxing ring in this building for a long time, and it probably hasn't been accessed in 20 years maybe.
Yeah, I mean, there's some newspapers that were on the wall, they were dated 1998.
So.
And when I first opened the door to that basement area 2.5 years ago, it was pretty creepy. I mean, there were cobwebs all the way across, all the way down. I don't think anybody's been in there for years.
Yeah, and it was pretty. It looked like a horror movie down there, and the boxing ring was completely rotted out and on the floor, completely not usable, and it was just gathering. There was water building up in there because it was coming through the concrete cap that was there previously, and it wasn't properly sealed. We actually had stalactites coming down from years of water dripping. It's actually kind of amazing. I don't know if you ever put those pictures up, but
Yeah, I don't think so.
it was, what were they, like 2 feet long or something
Oh,
like
yeah,
that, 2 or
yeah,
3
it
feet
was
long?
Like you're in a cave or something.
Yeah, it was kind of eerie. And it was just really dingy down there. It looked like a horror movie. And just debris and trash everywhere down there. So all that got cleaned out of there. The room's been cleaned out. There's a concrete cap that was put onto that. And it's, what, 4 inches or 6 inches?
No, there were 8 inches of reinforced concrete, and it's over, there are 3 10-inch I-beams, very solid. They're rusty, but they're gonna get cleaned up. And so that actually isn't, people think it's just a slab on the ground, but it's actually the roof to that building underneath it. And then there was another shaft that was used just around the corner, and we put a covered roof structure over that can be removed in case we need access from the outside down into that building. So that was a little bit additional expense to get that part done, but it's probably gonna be useful someday. So if we
Yeah.
ever have to get anything into that area. I think at one time, it was probably the boiler room. I think that was a coal chute, and, you'd see some pipes that are cut off at the floor. And then after that, Peter Hastings said it was the boys' locker room that they used when they used the gym, or gym class and things like that. He said all those two back rooms had lockers in them. And showers and the whole works. But so it's had quite a history. And then it became a club, and I think at the time there were many young people that used that facility as a boxing organization. Probably at one time it was really impressive and good for the community. But then it got forgotten. And the hope is now I've got a dehumidifier running in there, and we're going to get it all tried out. It'll be a great area for excess space for storage. I'd like to get some heavy-duty storage shelving in there at some point, and you can decide what you want to put down there, but it'll be a usable space.
And these are spaces that it was just piled up with trash and junk, and it was rotting for over 20 years.
Yeah, we were
and
concerned.
now it's usable.
Yeah, I had asbestos testing and mold testing and lead testing, because part of the roof fell in, the sheetrock, and paint was all over the place. And so we have on file all the results of the asbestos testing that was done. And fortunately, the place was loaded with mold, but it wasn't black mold. It wasn't, at that point, it wasn't dangerous. But the inspector said that if we had ignored it, it would have been a serious mold problem over time. So we nipped that in the bud, and that's been all cleaned up. It was disinfected with a high-pressure chemical as the last thing they did when they cleaned it all out. So it's a viable dry area now. It's not completely dry, but we're getting to the point where it's going to be really good storage space.
Very good. Very good. And then we also cleaned out another storage room with that, and redid the ceiling, patched a big spot in the ceiling there too. So.
Yeah, and we did 2 floors so far. The company that got the bid did an excellent job. We've had additional electrical outlets in this room. We've modified this wall and put up that wall so we could put the screen up, and we did quite a few areas for repainting. We repainted and plastered and repaired the new administrator's office upstairs. Including, I got an order on a new air conditioner to go in there, and it's all been painted, and a new carpet's been put in. It's really, it's nice to have this space that's not full of junk anymore, but it's usable office space.
Yeah.
And again, that's the goal, to improve this building. And there are many benefits to have an improved building. You have less expense over time. You get to use the building for a longer period of time. If you do, certain things I'd like to talk about that have to be done, because if we don't do it and spend the money, the useful life of this building will be a lot less than it could be. And then what do you do then, when the building's starting to fall apart and the windows are leaking, and that's a whole other topic I can talk about tonight if you want me to. We have the time to do that.
Yeah, and to touch on that quickly,
Yep.
we do have a lot of issues. We've come a long way, but we have a lot more to do. There's, the windows are caulked with an asbestos material, which needs to be abated if we do anything with the windows. A lot of the windows, the seals for the actual windows are failing. So we're getting condensation between the window panes, which is taken away from the efficiency of the windows. And we do need to do something with the windows. As we see throughout all the offices, we have chipping paint underneath all these windows due to moisture getting inside the building from outside. Right. And for years, it was just add some more caulking to it, add some more caulking. fill that hole, stop that leak.
Yeah.
Well, we can't run like that because you just put in new stuff on something that's failing already. So it's not really doing the job. We're gonna have to address it and address the moisture and the water coming into the building. I know walking through the hallways, if you walk up the stairs, you can see wear marks in the floor from where puddles form because of the water coming in through the windows.
It's actually coming in and cascading down the wall
Yeah.
onto the floor. The two windows on these side doors here, on the halfway up the stairs.
And those are issues we're gonna have to address.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, windows are not cheap. And when you add asbestos on top of that, that has to be abated by law if they're gonna remove windows and replace windows. That gets quite expensive also, because my understanding is they have to seal outside and inside
Right.
to be able to contain the asbestos, to make sure fibers don't get into the ventilation. They create a negative environment to contain those fibers, and they remove them and properly dispose of them. And that would have to be done to every window in every office, which is of significant cost. So that would be, we would have to do either grants to do that or do a capital improvement plan
Right.
to try to
I
do
did
that.
talk with Green Communities as a result of our last week's conversation, and as you know, they're not, they wouldn't fund something like that in the form of a grant. They expect a certain return on investment, and that's not going to happen when you consider you have to abate all the asbestos. Whether you recaulk it or whether you put in new windows, the asbestos issue is definitely going to be something we have to deal with either way. Initially, after having a half dozen or more professionals come in and then watching these windows fail with the seals on the glass, recaulking, I would not advise that. It's going to be a temporary fix, and at the same time, if you caulk it all, solve that problem, you have windows that are failing because the vacuum seals are, fogging up, and you're losing heat that way too. So I think, in my opinion, the only way to do this is to replace the windows. If you don't replace the windows, this problem is going to be extremely severe, and it's going to cost a lot more money 10 years from now or less. We've got about 25% of these windows that have failed. The seals have failed, and that's almost double what it was a year ago. So the process is speeding up now. So as a result of all the discussions with very qualified companies that could, fix the problem, it's really clear to me now that to write an RFP or an RFQ first, and then a scope of work, we're going to have to consider the cost of an architect to do this properly. I can write an RFP or a scope of work, but it's going to require, from what I understand now, an RFQ to get it done properly. And if we didn't do that, you could get very poor quality windows put in here by a low bidder, and because we really aren't qualified to present an RFP that's going to be covering every single aspect of this job, so that we don't have to worry about it for another 20 or 25 years. And so that's an additional expense, and I've already located a few architectural firms that have actually done this type of work on 6 school buildings in Boston, a number of school buildings in Springfield, and I think also there's one company I talked with that did work up at the school here, at the regional school. So there are companies out there that can write an RFQ for us, that can oversee and get the specs on the building, on the windows themselves, the elevations and all that are required. So again, that's more money. And it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think a decision has to be made. I mean, do we ignore it? I think there's a lesson to be learned here. If you looked at downtown, for example, we had all kinds of studies done over the years. We knew what the problem was, but nothing was ever done about it. And maybe, the answer was, well, we couldn't afford it, but now we have a building that's been condemned. And I think if we ignore this, and I'm not, Chicken Little, the sky's falling here, but this is gonna happen to this building also. And, but the good news is, once we get a real solid number on what it's gonna cost, you're gonna extend the useful life of this building. You're going to have a building that has an asset value, a good solid market value, because by then, the roof's in good shape, all the plumbing systems have been repaired and replaced. You have a beautiful heating system, and, there are more plans to improve the offices. So and that's important, instead of this building breaking down and then trying to find another town-owned property to occupy, we can't do that. And, people say, well, we can't afford it, it's gonna cost more money for the taxpayers, but as a taxpayer, I know where I'd wanna put my money. And, not doing anything, what has the taxpayer got in the past? What have they got for their money in all of our buildings? Nothing, except more problems and more expenses. So in the long run, if we really face this in a very considered way, and we know what the end result's gonna be, and I don't even know if it's gonna cost the taxpayers money, we're looking for grants anyway. But the worst thing we can do, that's why I talk so much about it, is ignore it. We cannot ignore this problem. And I don't have a solution, but my job is to let you know what the problems are, and then let you know what the solutions are, and let you know what the cost is, and then the town taxpayers can decide what they want to do. And I'm hoping that there's gonna be some grant money for this also. But once this is done, you get over that hump, all you're gonna have year to year is a capital plan for regular preventive maintenance and keeping the building clean. And you're gonna have extended life for this building. And I keep stressing that because that's the end result. It's not money thrown away. It's going to give us a solid building where you're gonna be proud to come to work in it, you're gonna be proud to have visitors come into this building, and it's not gonna be losing heat out the windows and, and that's another thing, there's gonna be a savings in energy as well if we do this right. So I've probably talked too much already, but I keep repeating myself, and I know everyone's on board here about what has to be done. I really believe the taxpayers recognize the need to get their money's worth. Because if you look back for the past 40 years, as a taxpayer, not an employee, as a taxpayer, I didn't get my money's worth on building improvements, nothing. And now we have a building downtown that's been condemned. That's not taxpayers' money spent well. It's a waste. And I don't think the people in this town want to do that anymore. It doesn't make sense. So, anyway. That's what I have to say about the windows.
Thank you, Jim.
So, my wife's gonna kick me. And then, I was asked to talk about the street light repair contract. Well, I reached out to a number of electric companies. As you know, there was a company called Tanco from California that had a contract with the town. The contract's been expired. We do have some street lights, at least one that I know of that has to be repaired. But we found out that Tanco never even actually did the work. They subbed it out to other companies. And last year, the town spent a little less than $8,000 on maintaining and repairing, I think, 6 or 7 poles. And so I put out an RFP for that, and we've had 4 companies respond. 2 of them have backed out because they didn't have a bucket truck. And the other 2, one of them has submitted a bid, and I'm waiting for a bid on the other one. There are some issues regarding OSHA requirements from National Grid, actually, and also certain certifications that these contractors have to go up above a certain level on the pole. And once that's confirmed that they have those certifications, then I'll tell you, I should know within by early next week what the bids are.
Okay.
So that then I can report that to you and you can decide what you want to do with that.
Yeah, we gotta get that contract up and running again. We have one of the lighting projects that's been pushed aside for a long time, down by the hair salon down there.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a blind spot, and I know with residents walking across the street there, it can get kind of busy.
Yeah.
And with it being dark, it's hard to see them sometimes,
Yeah.
so we wanna make sure that, you know, nobody's, you know, walking out in the dark and getting hit by a
Right,
car
right.
out there, so.
Well, the good news is both of these companies are local companies, and they're master electricians, and they have a bucket truck to respond to the needs of if a pole goes down in an accident or a storm or something. Which, and like I said, we'll have the both bids. The second bid will be maybe even tomorrow or early next week, so we can act on that
Very good.
rather soon.
Very good.
And I guess the other one was the phone systems. You wanted to talk about that? Karen and I had a representative from Valley Communications come in about a month ago, and he gave us a very good presentation. And then he sent in some quotes on various options. Valley Communications are the same company that installed the existing phone system that we have in the building right now. So they've been very familiar with the systems, and they've been in and out of this building many times to repair things. And as a matter of fact, in my office, in the animal control office, we wanted another phone. We needed a phone for our office, and the wiring and the equipment is so outmoded in this building that they couldn't hook us up. We have a phone in there, but it's a separate phone number with no way of communicating through the town's communication. So basically, you've got a system in here that's over 25 years old. If the phones have problems, there aren't parts to fix them with. And so this upgrade is really, I think, something that ought to be considered. And I only have some preliminary information. I just reviewed it the past couple of days. And they're offering two ways to go with this, as I can see. One, they can fix or upgrade the 24 lines that we already have with new telephones. And that's a cost of $16,180 upfront, paid directly to them to do that, plus a monthly phone bill, which would be very similar to what we're paying now. And I think, Karen, it's what, about less than $400 a month?
Yes.
Somewhere around there. The other option is they're proposing to put in a complete digital phone system that will allow people to communicate in groups within the building on their phones. It has quite a few other features as well, and that would be at a cost of $387 per month, approximate. It's not a contractual number, but just for purposes of comparing.
Is that an internet phone system?
Yes.
It is.
I hate those.
Oh, no.
I hate those so much.
What is it
Because
about?
they fail all the time. Your internet goes down and you lose phone service.
Yeah.
It's,
Well, I think that's
So
good
I
to
have-
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we have a spare line that.
You have to have another line just in case if they go down.
Oh, that's
At the
not good
station.
news.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you could
Yeah.
ask them about that. What if
Oh,
it
yeah, I
goes
intend
down?
to,
What's,
yeah.
what's the contingency?
right, exactly.
Or how
Because-
often do these,
Yeah.
They go down frequently, and
Okay.
we receive a lot of spam calls
Interesting.
on those lines. I don't know because of it's internet-based or how it is,
yeah,
but
it's easy to spoof.
it's unreliable.
Karen, are you absolutely sure that it is internet? I mean, they're calling it digital.
Yeah,
So
it's
we're
the
talking
VoIP
one and
system.
saying that, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I think,
Just 1 minute, we need to take a 5-minute break
okay.
because the cable needs to switch over and do their thing. So we'll take 5 minutes and come back at 8:05.
Sounds good.
And we're still live on.
We're still live on everything else. All right, so we're picking back up on our meeting. It's 8:05, and Mr. Dusty was presenting some items. He was talking about the street light situation. Oh, the phones. We're on the phones now.
Yeah, I don't have much more to say. I mean, they give us another proposal, like I mentioned that 16,180 to modernize the physical phones themselves. And, but then it's that cost plus your phone bill, which is a little less than 400 right now on average, is what I understand, right?
Yeah, but what I can say about our phone system we have now, we don't have enough of the phone system to put any more phones in this building. So, and the phones that we have, if they break, they can't replace them.
So we have to do something to address this problem also. But it's whether we decide to stick with this, a new system, upgrading it, or go to a all digital system, which is internet based. It's something we'd have to do some more research on, and maybe have them come in, do a presentation on how we can. I just want to make sure that if somebody calls us, the phone rings. And, I know dealing with the digital phones, we have a lot of issues with them because they're notoriously unreliable because of the internet connections, and, it just seems like it seems great, but when you pick up the phone and all you hear is nothing. There's nothing left. And that can happen for a couple minutes or hours. And that's not good to have.
Okay, I did ask the contract manager that met with us if he'd be willing to come to a meeting to explain everything, and he's more than happy to do that.
Okay.
And if you wanted, I could contact
That
him.
would be great if we can get somebody in here and we can have the meeting with them and present it, and if that's something that we would want to move towards. I have to be reassured that we're not going to lose phone lines.
Right, I think it's important that we have the opportunity to ask those types of questions to the company itself, because we weren't aware of that, and we were pretty impressed with the presentation. He gave us a sample where he called in, and the clarity of the voices over the phone was incredibly good. And it all sounded good. Of course, he's trying to sell us the system, but there may be some upgrades or improvements that we're not aware of, and it'd be simple enough to get him here. He's already said he'd be happy to do that. So we can present our questions at that point and take it to that step.
I think it's a good idea to have them come in.
How about if you ask him for other places where he has installed the system and we can call him?
Yeah, or
As
some
a
references.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, that's reasonable, and something we should do.
Yeah.
Can do.
Yeah, I know the system, it has a lot of bells and whistles.
Yeah.
And a lot of things that are really cool to have with a phone system. But the one that I value the most is dependability.
Right.
That it works. And you were saying you had some issues with it, Chief?
Yeah, ours goes down all the time. It'll just, if you get a break, just a minor break, or not even a break, like in the service, the phones go down and it takes some time to boot back
Yeah, they gotta
up.
reboot up.
That happened actually today before I came here.
So that's not good, but, let's bring him in and talk to him if you'd like, and I can extend the invitation, schedule it.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the cost for that one, Jim, or was it just a monthly thing? You
It
don't give a cost?
was just a monthly
It's just a
thing,
monthly.
and it's a little bit less, from what I understand, I didn't get the number from Tammy, we didn't have time today, but I think it's a little bit less than the actual average phone bill is now.
Madeline, and that's.
No, I was just wondering, because the other one was 16,180, so I thought there was gonna be a big price, and then the.
No, it's 16,180 to upgrade, and then it's a normal phone bill that we're already
Right,
used to paying.
I got that,
Yeah.
but to put in a completely new system, and it's only a monthly charge, just, I was surprised.
Yeah,
So
so,
this, it would be,
but it'd be nice if it worked all the time.
Yeah.
so this would be 40 months if we use this one system. For 40 months, it would be what we would pay for the 16,000.
So then what's it go up to, like 50 grand?
I don't know.
I didn't see that, but it is for 60 months.
Yeah.
And I did the math, and it was like, I think 20-some odd $1,000 over that time period.
Oh, we get a 60-month,
It's a 60-month term,
Yeah,
so in 60 months, you
Uh-huh.
have to redo it,
yeah.
and we don't know what that cost is going to be.
And so there were some clarifications needed, even if it was a good system. There were
5 years, something
questions
else
that-
will be.
so it's like 23,000
Yeah.
Yeah,
and change.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but by the time the lease is up, then there's probably something new that's better, right? I mean, it's the same with the copiers, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
For 3
a
years.
certain life.
Yeah.
yeah.
Get rid
So
of
I don't
it.
know what other options we have, other than what we just discussed.
Yeah.
I think probably most phone systems now are gonna be VoIP systems, so,
I know a lot of places are going to them,
yeah.
and because they do like the bells and whistles and the extras that can do. And then the pricing is attractive because it's less money. But sometimes, you know, my experience, the chief's experience, it goes down frequently.
Yeah.
And I would like to know the dependability, that they can guarantee that dependability. If not, there should be something within the contract that, hey, our phones went down for a day.
Yeah.
We ain't paying for that day.
Yeah.
Mm.
So it really depends on if they've made some technological improvements that we're not aware of, and you could hope that, but.
Because it could be based on what we're getting in here for internet service too.
True.
So whether they're gonna be feasible and how it will work,
Yeah.
because there might be additional costs for,
Yeah, but we
Doing
cannot
that.
take the risk of losing the phones,
No.
you know?
but I think we listen to the guy, let him present it, see
Yeah.
what he's doing.
Yeah.
And if, you know, he can't guarantee reliable service, it's not feasible for municipal.
It's funny, because in the conversation, we did ask how reliable it was, he's not gonna say it fails quite often,
Yeah.
but we did ask.
Well, it sounds like the police station problem too, is that it takes time to reconnect that, reboot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it goes down for a few seconds, but it's up instantly,
Yeah, we have.
Well, your phones have to
Yeah, we had
reboot.
that snowstorm.
yeah, see, that's not
Yeah.
The
good.
town was
I
out.
I don't know why they need to
A lot of people
reboot.
couldn't go to the
I mean, if I
ATM.
pull this thing
It's just
off
like
the
shutting your
internet-
computer off. If you shut your computer off, like completely down, and then restart it, because you remember they done by the power, and that whole thing that's controlling it has to pick up all that stuff again and all that information. So it takes it like it's rebooting a computer again.
But I'm saying, if I disconnect the Wi-Fi and then reconnect it, it takes seconds to come back in.
You know what's the
Right.
difference between
So-
some computers and the iPads? How long does it take an iPad to turn on?
Well,
Seconds.
always- yeah,
Less than seconds. How much traditional computers take to turn on? A lot.
yeah,
But now there are new laptops that they just boop, turn on by itself.
right.
So maybe he's offering something new. You know, we are all up to technology. Look at us.
Oh, yeah.
We are here. So if he can assure us that this new system, it doesn't fail,
Yeah.
I think we have a chance.
Yeah, I can give him a call tomorrow, and I'll present that question to him over the phone, as long as the phone doesn't go dead. So.
You lose a signal, sorry, my phone had to reboot.
Yeah.
I'll give you a call back.
So let me ask that question before he even gets into the room here to see what he has to say.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And reference, call.
Yeah, I think references are key.
And
Oh,
call
yeah,
it.
very
Hey,
good.
how has this been working for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, see if other towns have this system, and then we can call the town administrators and say, hey, have you been having
Yeah.
issues with your digital phone system?
Right.
So,
All right, well, that's good. At least we're, get that thing started and we hopefully find a good solution for it.
very good.
Madeline, did you have a comment?
No, I was just saying, that's who we have as Comcast, and when we had that big snowstorm, I think it was 2011, I mean, I know my daughter, she couldn't work from home because Comcast was out with that storm for days.
Yeah.
Actually, the thing that worked at my house was the landline telephone.
The landlines usually work.
But they
They're
do.
reliable.
The power
We
was
got
out,
rid
the
of ours.
landline phones
Right
didn't
after,
work.
right after the snowstorm happened,
So-
Comcast came down to the gas station and said to Billy, you know, I'm here to see if you want, you know, Comcast, the internet for your phone. And Billy says, what for? He said, well, you know, blah, blah, blah. Billy says, listen, he said, if you came here, you know, last week, you know, I was getting phone calls all the time, he says, but if I had you, guess what? I wouldn't have been able to do any business over the phone.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything else for us, Jim?
The only other thing, I want to go back to the windows and my thoughts about an architect getting involved. I've already reached out to one, and he's going to give me a quote on what it would cost. And I'll get some other quotes too, to have an architect prepare the RFQs and RFPs and scopes and all that, and dimensions on the windows and elevations, the type of windows. And there's a lot, you can buy 50 different types of windows, and the cost and all that, so it's really too much for any of us to do on our own. There's too much at stake, so the next thing I think would be to get a quote from at least three architects that do this type of work, and see what that part would cost us.
Yeah, architects are very good, Jim.
Pardon me?
Architects are very good.
That's what I heard there. Yeah, I know one that's really good. What are you charging? So, yeah. No, but I think that would be the next step. If you'd like, I can get that information.
Yeah, I'd say get it prepared, because
Yeah.
if we have some availability with money later on, I think it's one of those things, it's a wise investment because it has to be done. We lose with the prices of energy going up,
Yeah.
fuel bills, we're just wasting money. And even air conditioning, you know, you gotta crank that air conditioner up a little higher each time, electric bill goes up, more demand. It's just a wise investment to do, and it's something that, it's an investment in our building. And we have to address the water issue. And we can't just address it with caulking, because we're just patching the problem. You know, that asbestos has to be abated. Again, we see, once we open that can of worms, it leads to other things that we gotta fix, so we might as well fix it the first time.
Right.
And take care of it, and we're done for the next 20 years. Subject doesn't come up unless a baseball comes through the window. And then that's one window. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think we're in the right direction, where once that issue is addressed and resolved somehow, we're gonna have a solid building here, then we're not gonna have to worry too much about it for quite a long time. And with a higher market value, and that, you know, and that's important. I mean, it's good that towns carry property that has value instead of negative. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And if anybody's already ever bought a house, they know. You start going through that house and you get that inspection done. And you look at windows and you're like, oh, the windows are bad, they single pane, they need to be replaced. Well, I'm dropping that amount. This house is becoming less and less each time. So let's keep our value.
I think Mr. Dusty is on the right path, because I hate to see when people say, hey, I just got new windows, and I see the windows are like the worst quality windows. It's like, why did you spend money for that?
Don't open that one. That one doesn't open all the way.
Yeah, well, that happens
So
all too often.
if we're gonna do something,
Yeah.
you know, usually don't pick up the most expensive, don't pick up the cheapest, and
Right.
also the right product for the.
Well, that's where the RFQ comes in, because you're gonna have
I agree with
vendors
you. You're on the right
that
path.
prove their
You can't go wrong.
qualifications before they even can bid on it.
Yeah.
So, and that's important, because in the past, we've had experiences with people sending in bids, like for the hands-free, that they were roofing companies that were bidding on that.
doing plumbing work, so we can't do that.
No.
It's a waste of our
You buy
time.
cheap, you buy twice.
There you go, at least.
Get it done right.
Yeah. So that's all I have at this point.
Very good. And you've been doing a great job. Thank you very much, Jim. I know you're taking on a lot of this responsibility because you see a need for it and you care about our town and you're very passionate about it and you don't want to see us going down the wrong path. And you have the knowledge and experience, and thank you very much for all you're doing and helping us out.
Well, you know, we all.
Karen's got a grin over there like, stop pumping them up.
No, but.
But
you
it's
know,
true.
it's
You
not just
do a lot.
Work
Thank you.
ethic, there's so many great people in this town, and we're taxpayers too, so it's, you know, there's the whole other side of this thing. We want our taxpayers' money to be used properly.
And it shows that you care. It shows you really care about this town.
I think
Thank
most
you.
people do, thank you. I can even walk a little bit better too.
Very good. Next, another day.
Adam's just getting nervous.
Okay, don't fall.
All right, so we did the streetlights, we did the 5K, 50 grand. So BJ, pay limit. So we gotta address, she brought an issue to us about a cap, you know, on her fees. So basically what happens is with all the construction and everything going on, the town has set a fee cap on how much money she can get for her inspection part and doing what she does. It doesn't really make sense because we're basically saying you can't earn any more money than this, no matter how much more work you do. It's basically essentially free at that point. Which,
I don't know, I don't feel it says that, but okay.
well, it was brought up a few times and yes.
'Cause that's how, it's not how it reads. Have you looked at this, Jim?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's a revolving fund.
But this says a fiscal year spending limit.
That-
Right.
For her
25
to spend.
For her to
Of the
spend.
fees that she collects. That is the revolver part.
Right,
That's what
but
the Mass General Law is. Then the town voted the second part that caps it at 25.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean she stops earning money at 25. How does it stop? I don't understand.
Because that's what the town voted the cap at.
Okay, the way
She
this
can
is.
only collect $25,000 of fees. There's two ways. You want me to talk or you want to talk?
Yes, please, can you
Okay.
identify that?
Okay.
Actually, can you just come up, Madeline,
Yeah.
so everybody can see? Because this is kind of a complicated issue, and it doesn't make sense why it was done.
Because it's a revolving fund. Because the only other way that you would have been able to pay her is to set an annual salary. She wouldn't get any fees. So if you paid her $50,000 a year, that's all she's getting,
Right.
okay? And then if she does all this other work, and I understand, you know, because of the solar and marijuana's coming, that's fine. So then you're stuck, she's stuck at 50,000, and she's not gonna get any more. So I think this was, the idea was, there was a salary, and then for any additional work, for the inspections, this is what they were doing. That's how it was set up. But now with these big projects, there's two ways you can handle that. We just did, you just voted on a cap increase for the cable. That's the same thing. So you could change the cap and say, you can do numerous ways. A fee of 25,000 with the and if there's marijuana or solar projects, then she gets that much of that project. You see what I'm saying? Or you can raise the cap to 75,000. You know what I'm saying? But that's how it was voted. That's what a revolver fund is. It's money you're coming in and you're paying out. And that's what the 25,000 is. So years ago, this wasn't an issue because there was no building going on. Jack never reached the 25,000, okay? He had his salary plus fees, and it didn't happen. But times have changed, and nobody's changed the bylaw, okay?
So we need to address the bylaw for the increased flow.
Correct.
Because basically what we're doing is saying the town's doing great, but we don't want you to do better to her.
Right, but, well, basically, but that's what I'm saying, and I think I mentioned it to Jim. All money is general fund money unless there's a mass general law, okay? Now, if you didn't have the cap, you pay her a straight salary of 50,000, even if she brought in 100,000. Unless you went to town meeting to vote to change her salary, she's not getting any extra money.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, yes, you can revise it however you want. You can raise the cap or, ask for more inclusion that she'd be able to, the cap would not include solar and marijuana.
But didn't we raise the cable
Right,
limit just in a meeting?
Right, that's what I said, there's two ways
So-
you can do it. You can, the tap, the.
But that was a
can vote.
one-time?
Right, it's one time.
And that was money they already had out of there? It was
And, well,
already
this is
there.
money she
We
has
just-
too.
We just approved them to do it. So,
But he goes back to 20, the cable
Correct.
goes back to 20 in fiscal year 23.
Right.
Correct, because, okay, so what happened was, years ago, every town meeting, we would vote those amounts. DOR says, you people are wasting your time doing this vote. Now you have to make it a town bylaw. So we don't vote on this
Oh, I
every
see,
year
okay.
anymore.
so now we would actually have to do a bylaw change. We
Right.
couldn't do just a vote amongst the selectmen, we have to do a bylaw
Well,
change.
Right, well,
to
you
do
can,
that.
you can make, change. You can vote cap this year for what she's doing now, yes, but you do have to do it. I gave Karen, a town meeting article that had Nancy's bylaw change, so she basically has the verbiage of how the article should be worded. But that's what that was for.
So similar to what the city clerk collects for some of their collections?
Well, we used to do that here,
Yeah.
but we changed, it used to be the town clerk. The town clerk is in there for the dog license or the dog pound, whichever, the dog licensing, I think. Isn't it dog license?
Licensing, yes.
Yes, and that's what it is. But times have changed, but nobody ever changed the bylaw. Okay, and that's it. Otherwise, then it would have to be a straight salary. And all that money that she got would go right into the job.
And if we're gonna look at a straight salary, at that point, we'd have to look at what is her position gonna actually encompass, because is she gonna be a full-time town employee now? Getting a salary, and she's here 4 or 5 days a week to do this.
Correct.
And do we have enough construction to warrant? Do we have enough construction to warrant that now?
That's what I'm saying.
So we'd have to look at that. I think the easier solution is to up the cap, so so this way, she's not being limited,
Yeah.
to a point. I agree, if we brought it up to 75,000, she's probably never gonna reach that.
Because she gets.
Within our community, but it's also, she's not gonna be inhibited if she's doing all this extra
Correct.
work.
Correct.
And doing all these additional projects,
Correct.
and, at some point, she just sits there like, I'm not even getting paid anymore,
Right, and
And
that.
we don't want that.
That happened, I think, once or twice with Jack, and then they raised the cap. But like I said, times have changed. Years ago, building went crazy,
Yeah.
and then we died. If we had 1 or 2 new houses a year, we were doing really good. But then now we got the solar and stuff, and, I agree, she needs to be paid for it, but that's what this is for, because all money is general fund money unless you have.
Okay, so can we raise the cap for the remainder of FY '22 by just a vote, right?
I think it would have to be an agenda item for us to do that.
Yes,
We'd have to add it to a future agenda,
okay.
to do that. But
And then-
tonight, I think we can vote on identifying, we can raise the cap to 75,000 on an article,
Yeah,
to do an article to correct that.
yeah.
This way, she's not, again, basically working for free at some point.
Mhm.
Because we do get a lot of construction going on, and a lot of projects coming in, and she needs to be there. At some point, she can't just sit there and say, I'm not getting paid anymore.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's why they did it, so that Jack wasn't, he was the building inspector, but he was basically part-time, he wasn't a full-time employee. And to make it more incentive for him to work, to stay with the town, okay, we'll give you some of the fees.
And it's an incentive-based system, because you're working, the more you work, the more you get paid.
Right.
The less you work, the less you get paid, and we're not paying that out of our budget, that's out of fees and stuff
Correct.
that she's collecting. So,
And is there a salary associated with that as well, or?
She has a, she has a,
She already
she
has
has a
one.
salary
Okay.
in the
Yeah, I
general
think we
fund.
Talked
if you-
about
if you
last
don't.
week,
yeah.
right?
Jim.
Oh, yeah, you were
Oh,
out.
1,241 after, if you look.
Okay.
You don't do it now, if you just want to mark it, 1,241, I think is a bill.
Okay.
So what do you think?
So I'm in favor of the bylaw change and the FY '22 increase, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. You have any thoughts, Jim?
No, not at this time.
Well, I just wanted to clarify, so you really.
No, and thank you very much for, again, for helping us out with that. I think it's a no-brainer, we have to do that, because we do have a lot going on in town, and we want to make sure that she's being compensated for her work. We don't want any point where work is being held up because she's not being paid for the work at that point.
Yep.
So I think it's a no-brainer for us. If we can do an article, Karen, to up the cap to 75,000,
That should be on the annual.
yeah.
Yeah, the annual.
Annual.
Is that what BJ recommended, 75?
I have no idea, I just said.
She didn't recommend,
Oh,
she
okay,
just
alright.
didn't understand why,
Okay.
because a lot of towns didn't have that at all.
Mhm.
They were using different means.
Mhm.
So I think, again, she was brought on as a part-time employee, and she received a percentage of the fees.
Okay.
Jim, if you go to see, Tammy has her turnovers.
Okay.
Of what the fees that she's received.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
I just threw 75 out, I have
Yeah.
no idea. So.
No, and if BJ turns around and says, hey, can you up it more? I don't think we have that much going on where she's gonna collect that much. I think 75 is a good
And he can-
compromise.
Like I said, he can go check the fees. Tammy would have the information, what she brought in last year for fees, and then she has this
Yeah,
year's.
maybe I can do some research on this as well and get you some information for the warrant article.
Yeah,
Okay.
very good.
All right, and then we'll
And then we'll
do
put on
a future agenda.
the next agenda. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
Put that on
I'll
there.
have that on for you for the next meeting.
Thank you very much.
I have
Good with that? Yes, sir. All right. We did the Shepherd windows, EV station, we get that twice on here.
Yeah.
Because we have two EV stations.
It was really important you to make sure that got addressed, huh?
So, there's a gentleman that has been calling from Guardian about payment for the EV station in the center of town. I just recently got his contact information today. I am going to be reaching out to him tomorrow to kind of get an idea as to what payment that he's requesting and what services he provided for that said payment. And try to get a detailed explanation of these of this bill, so-called bill. He's claiming it's somewhere around $9,000. I haven't seen any documentation supporting that, so I'm gonna be reaching out to Guardian tomorrow.
Okay.
So this is a little background with that. This is part of the EV stations that were gonna be put in, and they were gonna be put in on downtown by the park. The Parks Department was not consulted when that was happening. they adamantly opposed those stations being put in there. So they already started some of the work, so they put in a little bit of conduit and some bases, concrete bases that were in there. Nothing else got installed. And then because Parks ultimately is responsible for that property, we had to pull it back and identify a different location. So we looked at the small parking lot across from the old town hall. We looked at this parking lot, and the other proposal was the school. So in order to put it in the small parking lot across the street from the old town hall would be, I think it was 16,000 over that we would have to pay to put in for the EV station, because we would have to run the conduit underground and run a power line from that building to get services to that EV charging station, because you have to have some source of power. So we would have to go from the old town hall, their power, and go under the ground, under the road, and run into that parking lot. And that was about $16,000 that we would have to pay for that. And then the other one, same thing for this building, they would have to do some upgrades to the electrical panel, and they would have to trench all the way from the electrical panel over to the EV stations where they were gonna be, and put all the conduit in the ground and everything. And that was approximately $16,000 also. So that wasn't feasible to do for something that was supposed to be part of a grant and free to the town. So the school, it was proposed to the school, and the school turned it down and said they don't want it on their property either. So these EV stations, we've gone through, had several meetings about them and what to do with these things. In the end, we had to pull those, I think Highway Department pulled the bases that were there, because they were gonna charge us to clean them up and get rid of the concrete pads that they poured with a little bit of concrete. Instead, we had Highway go in there, pull them up, save us the money, so they didn't bill us for that either. So if we have a bill, it should be a small portion of what it costs to put in a little bit of conduit in the bases. That's it. We don't have the charging stations, we don't have the equipment. They had the equipment, we never received it, so we should not be getting charged for equipment or anything beyond those two little pads in some conduit. And there was never even an electrical hookup at that point, because we were trying to identify where they were gonna be hooked up, which was another issue.
Evan,
Yes, sir.
maybe Jim, you can ask him for a detail,
Itemized bill, yeah.
Yeah.
and then we can run it through.
And they were supposed to give us an itemized bill of why we're getting paid, charged that amount, when we didn't use that. And it was part of a grant. We utilized the other part of the grant, and I forgot what that was. It was
It was the freezer at
the freezer.
and it was
The
so much
hybrid.
money to the.
Yeah, the hybrid
cruiser.
vehicle, yeah.
Yeah.
So those items, and this was like the third part of that grant. And we just couldn't make it happen. So, we probably do owe them a little bit, but not $9,000 worth.
So I'll investigate and report back to the board.
Okay, so Microsoft training?
Just waiting to hear back from Quabog Valley CDC. She said it would take a little bit, they need to come up with a proposal.
Okay, very good. So that's still in the works. Then EV station again, I think we beat that one up. Karen really wanted to address it. And then Cornerstone Bank.
I talked to Jim about coming up with an engagement letter, so we could talk about the building in the disposition of the building once they close, so.
Okay.
Yes, I've met with Rich on that, and I should have a draft for that letter by Monday. Maybe you guys can look at it, and we can modify it, as whatever you.
Try to get them to donate the building to us. That would be great.
Yeah, they may not be able to say much at this point, but I think at least, starting the process of an engagement to talk to them is good.
Yeah, I think it's really, I think the board's doing a great job with trying to start early as to, what's gonna happen to that. That's gonna be a big, dark space in our center of our downtown, and I think the board recognizes that, and I think from what I've heard so far, and, it's important to the townspeople as well.
It is, yeah. It'd be nice to have the bank there, but they've made the decision, and they're a private business. And if they're gonna consolidate it, there's nothing we can say. They've made that decision. So, ARPA. So, American Rescue, what is it again? Recovery, Act.
No.
No, it's the American Recovery
Plan.
Plan Act. So, yeah, I hate all the acronyms. We always say ARPA, but that's what it stands for, American Recovery Plan Act. So we have a motion and a vote on payment to be made and already made payments.
We have two options.
Do we have that in the book?
Yes. That's bad.
There we go. It's ARPA funds. So, one of the issues is we gotta look at, we have a desperate need to fund the radio systems. You guys came back with your quote, you got your numbers now. Do you wanna talk about that so we can educate?
Go up with you.
Good evening, Adam Lavoy, Fire Chief. Apologize, I have to be a little muffled, I have to have this for a couple more days, so my apologies.
No, it's okay. No
To
hugging.
be on the safe side, I am fine, but it's to play the rules.
Okay, so where do we stand with the radio part? Because that's kind of a portion of this that we need to make a decision on with the utilization of these funds. And you guys have your final numbers now?
Yes, we're 95% there. So we were tasked with coming up with this plan here prior to March 31st for use of the ARPA funds. We had originally reached out to one particular company. We were working with them. Thought we were heading in the right direction. Unfortunately, they said they thought they were gonna come in under a certain number, and they dropped all contact with us. We've tried every which way to reach out to them. I don't know if it's an issue where they realized they couldn't come into that number, and they just didn't wanna even go any further, but myself, Chief Millette, Kyle Slajewski, we've been working with them hand in hand. None of us can get a return phone call at this point. So we've disregarded them at this point. We're no longer gonna have any contact with them. And we turned our attention to a different company by the name of Modular Communications. Modular is also on the state bid list. And ironically and conveniently for us, they are also since they are now on the state bid list, they are also the company that Rutland uses for all of their stuff. So that will actually be very beneficial to us because we have a liaison with them, and they're used to the exact equipment they have. And, if we do a build out with them, I think it'll just be a little bit more harmony within the relationship. So what we have here is a proposal for a 3-site plan, which would include Southbridge Road, Quaid Hill Tower, and now the Gilbert Road Tower. The Gilbert Road Tower, after doing numerous studies, and credit to them, they got this to us in a short amount of time, very detailed, very professional report. They had quoted with us once before, about a year and a half ago, but they weren't on the state bid list at that time. They've redone the entire system, redone the studies for us, so we know where we stand on it. They came in under one of the other proposals that we had by, approximately $45,000 or not, so they're within that ballpark of where we originally were talking for pricing, just under $600,000 for that. These systems are inherently expensive. It's a huge replacement of an entire infrastructure. It's not just replacing a radio. This is an entire rebuild of our system. To kind of put it in perspective, I know of two other communities, Sturbridge, Ludlow, much bigger systems, much more needs, much more topography issues, and they're looking at anywhere from $4 to $5 million for replacement. So for ours to come under, with the studies that we've had, to be under that $600,000 range, I think is very reasonable for our community and for what we need. So I think we have a golden platter opportunity with using ARPA funds and monies that have already been repurposed through the assessment grants that we've turned around, so the town roughly has about half of that. So what we're looking at here is, if you turn to page 8, they have a total proposal of $575,873.05. This proposal also includes a 3-year service agreement with them for preventative maintenance and everything. The only thing this does not include right now, which we are in the process of working on behind the scenes, is what we're guessing is approximately $10,000 worth of, which the town would be responsible for, which it does state in here, for the engineering studies for each one of the towers, meaning that they need to make sure that the towers need to do a study, which the town is responsible for paying. We estimate it's about $10,000 total, to make sure that our equipment won't interfere with others, and others, their equipment won't interfere with ours. So they have to look at the space of where that stuff is gonna go, and they need to make sure that, an engineering study is done to make sure there's no, interoperable problems within the site. So the good thing is, we reached out to Gilbert Road Tower. They do have the room for us. It's in the ideal location. That will triangulate all of the towers together and make it a 98% compatible system, which is exactly what we're aiming for. That's the limit of where we are. So we would have to look at, extending that by about $10,000, just to cover those little bit of engineering fees. And then, of course, we would have to negotiate with each tower for a monthly rental fee. There may be a tower that may not charge us because we're public safety. A lot of them have discounted rates for public safety, but we're talking about that right now with them. So we should have a better idea of what the lease will be. For example, Chief Millette, you pay $400 for Coy Hill?
I pay like $4.50, and that lease, I think, goes up 1% every year.
Okay, so again, we're gonna have to establish those things, but those are not gonna be, those would be things that would be added into our budget, into our fiscal year budgets going forward. So we may have to adjust our budgets a little bit as these numbers come in and we get the leases done with these and work there. But generally speaking, what you're looking at right here, plus about $10,000, is where the project is to complete, without the monthly fees.
We're hoping Southbridge Roads keeps it what we're paying now, which is nothing.
Which is 0. So, again, that's their decision. It's their decision whether or not they require an engineering study on it. I know Gilbert Road says, yes, indeed, that's part of the process to make sure they're not gonna interfere with anything. I know Coy Hill, that's part of the process. Southbridge Road, the owners there may not require that, so we may save a little bit of money there. You're talking roughly about $3,000 per average for a study, and there's 3 sites. So there'll be 2 repeater sites at each station, or excuse me, each tower, with an antenna for both, for one antenna that will serve both police and fire, with multiple microwave dishes there to be able to triangulate the frequencies where they need to, and be able to make sure everything is covered. Like I said, if you look in the back of the packet, it shows you all of the studies, exactly where the coverage area is, to make sure that we would have absolute and full coverage throughout the system. And that everything is, the checks and balances are done. It would take a lot for the system to go down, and the plan is, at least for us, for fire, our existing system would just be kept turned off and left as a spare in case we ever needed it to turn it on for whatever reason. It's not gonna hurt us, but we're not gonna take it down. It's on private property as it is. They're more than willing to keep it there, just in case we ever had a catastrophic failure from a massive storm or tornado or something like that. We could have an additional backup right there. But this package includes that 3-year maintenance plan, includes all the bells and whistles, them doing an annual PM on the system, and, this system should be reliable and up to date for anywhere from 10 to 15 years, and then they start to replace components again and stuff like that. But this is something we've never had. It's something that is far and away needed, and I think it's a great time to talk about it because of those funding sources.
Correct me if I'm wrong, with this new system, if we lose a tower, we don't lose
Correct.
the system.
Yes,
Where
there's a
now
lot of
I lose
redundancy built
something,
into it, where it's
I'm
a
out.
much more protected system than what we currently have.
Is this the microwave system?
Yes, yes, so, yep, so it will definitely be a professionally built system by a very reputable company that's already on the state bid list, so everything, all that procurement stuff's been done, the numbers are exact, it comes right off of that, so we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So what you're looking at there, that highlighted number, you can add approximately 10,000 to it as a safety net just for those engineering studies. And then we'll have to negotiate, like I said, the monthly recurring fee for the towers themselves. But that's something we can do behind the scenes before town meeting, and those exact numbers have to be in. I suspect we can get through that process very quickly.
Okay. Now, how are we having continued problems with our system right now? And, because I noticed, because I listen to the radio and
You probably hear
you
my
guys, you guys are going in and out all the time.
Yeah.
They're logging constant radio failure checks anytime that they, I mean, it'll happen to us too, we know where our dead spots are. They seem to have a much bigger problem, in my opinion, than we do. I mean, ours is just as antiquated, but ours seems to be working regularly a little bit better. Theirs is phone-based, and that's just not a good thing. But they constantly, I hear the officers constantly logging, another radio failure on a traffic stop and stuff. So we're at that kind of critical point right now.
So because your system runs off of the analog copper wire.
Yes.
For the phone system.
Yes.
Now, Verizon maintains those phone lines, correct? And they've already notified us that they are no longer gonna be maintaining those lines. So at some point, that system will be offline.
Yes.
And it will be dead. That is why there's such an importance with this, in this project. Because it's not a matter, we have a few years to go. No, we're on borrowed time right now with this. And it needs to be addressed because it does take a lot. And we've seen this because we've been dealing for this for so long. And to me, it's one of those important, it's such an issue to have radios that work, because it's a life, health, and safety issue. Because if one of your police officers can't call for backup, something's happened in a domestic and it goes bad, and you guys are in a dead zone, and the system goes down, it's a bad situation. And I know you were talking about how you have issues up on the pike, responding to calls up on the pike. The system goes down, people could die, by not having that communication out there. You have to have, that's, again, something as simple as our phone systems. We have to have reliable communication. You need to know when you key that button on your mic, it goes out to somebody and they're listening. If you don't have that, things can go wrong. And I don't want to see a police officer or a firefighter lose their life because we couldn't get them help in time because nobody knew. And I hear all the time on the radio, for the police, they do checks with your officers. Rutland, after about 5 minutes, 417, you okay? Just making sure that they're still there and they're still okay. If they can't get that response after a while, seconds matter.
A lot of
And
times
it's worse
they
on our
can't hear.
portables.
Yeah, the portables is the biggest problem for both of us. We're probably at 75% maybe on mobiles in the vehicles that we're able to hit in places in town. There's certainly some dead spots in there, but mobiles the portables are a completely different story. There's just not enough coverage for them to be reliable when they're at a traffic stop, out of the vehicle and stuff, especially for them. But for us too, and certainly if we have firefighters in a building or something, I have the same exact concern, that when we're dealing with portables, our systems have gotten to the point where it's just not reliable.
Yeah. And we can't have that. We can't, it's too much of a risk. It's too much. I don't want anything happening to one of our people because of bad communications. and God forbid that ever happens, and I think we're on borrowed time with that, because it's just, we do have poor communications, and we know
Every
the
other
copper line's
communication
going
is,
down.
You're broken up, we can't hear you.
Yeah, the copper line is going down. At some point, it's not gonna be used at all. You know, and that puts us in a really bad situation. You know, if they maintained it, we'd still have a little bit of time. We need to do it, no, but it's going away. Did you guys have any questions?
Yeah, so the 576,000, how is the difference made up? So, I mean, ARPA's gonna pay for some of this.
So
What's the balance coming from?
We talked quickly with Karen. We have some options that the board could explore as to what they want to do there. Obviously, if more ARPA money becomes available, that's an immediate thing, but there are options that I don't know if Karen talked to the board about or can, think about, looking at taking more money. I will say that Rutland has applied for 2 grants at this time that are pending. So those could be, extremely helpful down the road in the sense that while they're not gonna help us immediately right now, they applied for another assessment grant, which is, well, we've been successful twice now. We were on, our assessment coming up in the next fiscal year is $129,000. We took 2 of those assessments before and got roughly $240,000 to $250,000 to divert to this project. We have another grant in for another $129,000 worth of that. If we were to complete this money with town meeting money potentially coming up, we roughly need about $100,000 more than what we have right now. Where we find it is what we gotta figure out, whether it comes from a town meeting, whether it comes from free cash, whether it comes from additional ARPA funds, we can kind of figure that out. But if we get this assessment, which it looks like we've done it twice already, we're eligible for 3 years. So if we get that again, that money's far and above what we're asking for anyways and can go right back to free cash, or whatever the town decides to do with it. It's just an added bonus. They've also applied for some infrastructure grant money, specifically for systems and stuff, for this, and if that comes, it's even better, because then they can use that money through Rutland to even replace our portables and mobiles at that point. So there is a couple grants that are in the works right now. I think the most successful one will probably be the assessment one, probably has the biggest chance, and that is approximately $30,000 more than we're even asking for to complete the project right now. So that is a good thing.
So we have the 250 from the 2 assessments that we had, and then you had earmarked 200 for us from ARPA already, which brought us to 450.
I know Karen had said something about an additional 34,000 or something that was pending on another project.
That was before we got Titan Bonds bid for the Brit for 29.
Oh, that did come through? Oh, okay. As of yesterday, that hadn't come through, so I wasn't aware
But
of
that's
that.
that's for them to basically do the consulting on it. That's not the grid screw.
Right.
Okay.
It's like, here's what it's gonna cost for us to go out and figure out how to
So
get.
it's not even for the actual, okay.
No.
Okay. So the select board has a couple options to decide where they would want to pull additional monies from, and whether or not they want anything to cover it on the upcoming town meeting, and to hopefully be reimbursed by the assessment grant that goes through.
So what was your math again? You had,
250 in assessments that were already set aside.
250 in assessments.
251,686.
Well, yeah, okay, so 250, and then what else?
You earmarked 200 already from.
200 from ARPA. And that leaves you with 100,
150.
150 short, okay.
That's with the 10 grand.
If you round that number up to 10 grand, which I'd suggest we do, and factor in that engineering, so we're not short.
So here's an option. I know we were looking at Warren Water District for High Street in West Warren Water District, the materials on water lines. They wanted those water lines just to store, to have these materials for future upgrades as a stockpile.
I thought they asked for the pH control system.
No.
That's what I had gotten. You have something that,
I do, it's in the other room.
Karen to come back.
Yeah, if you look and read through this, it's well done. It explains, it tells you everything, every piece of equipment that would go at each site, how it's gonna function, what the actual breakdown in cost is. So, they did a nice job in the presentation. And one thing, that I do like a lot is that this company is already well within the Rutland system. So they know that system like crazy in terms of making sure that everything is interconnected properly. I'm much more comfortable with them doing it because they know the system than someone outside coming in and doing it. And the fact that, again, they're now on the state bid is.
Right, you don't have to go out to bid.
They don't have to go out to
Saving money.
bid. So, I mean, it's advantageous for everybody at this point that, this particular company would be a great thing to work
What's the
with.
total number again?
The total number that is in this is 575,873.05. $575,873.05. But again,
You wanna add 10,000?
I'd like to add
You wanna add
10,000 as a
10,000.
safety net, that will get us potential engineering studies, whether or not it comes out to that, or it's a little lower or a little higher. I think 10,000 is a fair number from the person that put together this report. He says he's never seen an engineering report for a tower go over $3,000. So that was where that number came from.
We broke it down by tower.
Oh, okay, great. Well,
And then, of course, again, we'll have to negotiate behind the scenes just a little bit to figure out where our budgets would have to get adjusted before they get submitted for the thing to look at a monthly fee for these particular towers.
Okay, it is for PH. They had sent me another email for piping though, but it's not.
Yeah, because we had reviewed this. Okay, so it's not materials for water lines, it's for a pH control system.
So, my concern is, with this, is, this project is definitely a priority project because it's directly for the town, and it's part of our radio infrastructure for emergency services. We have to address this through fees somehow and getting it done. And I believe we have to lock in the price by when?
I believe it's gonna be a 60 to a 90-day commitment that they're gonna wanna see. I mean, we had talked about, oh, well, maybe we could do 2 towers right now, but no company is gonna say, oh yeah, just pay us as you go, it's fine. They're gonna want a commitment, they're gonna want a contract to move forward and start to be shovel-ready and start looking at all those things. So, I will talk to them, but I'm assuming it's gonna be, most of them are 90-day. It's a 90-day, you have to put a contract together within 90 days is what the normal is.
Okay.
And 90 days, okay, so April 1st, May, so it would get us past town meeting, right?
This,
If it's-
if we do this, the problem with it is in town meeting is it could be voted down.
Yeah.
And then that would cause the project to fail.
You're taking it from ARPA.
Huh?
You're taking the money from ARPA.
If we could take the full sum from ARPA,
Okay.
then we could do that right now, commit to it, and then later on, replace money, like you were saying, into free cash, things like that. So we can utilize the money. We're basically taking this money, dedicating it now, and then later on, when we have free cash, we can utilize free cash for other stuff. I think this is something we have to put the guaranteed money on. By doing that, and to be honest, the Warren Water District, I understand they want $200,000, but they're a private entity. Anything we give them is help. And I understand we want to keep the cost down for them so it doesn't get passed on to the residents while making upgrades. But, when it comes to a project, it'd be great if we have an excess of money and we're looking for stuff to do. I think we really need to focus on what the town needs. And this is more of a priority then that could always be voted on later on for free cash. And we could dedicate free cash to those projects and, do an article for that. To commit free cash to that stuff.
And can we do that? It's a private company,
Right.
can we do that?
But again, it's also, we have an opportunity, again,
I would, that, like I said, Tammy could always text, email DOR and say, town council could answer that question too. I would say, no, but we do vote money for the hydrants, but that's for our personal protection.
Yeah.
To vote money to give to a private entity, I wouldn't think that would be,
Yeah, it doesn't sound.
that's how I would think. So can I just ask you, because you just kind of lost me. So you're only talking about 150,000 more, this is what you're talking about. So what are you contemplating, taking 350 from ARPA? Is that what you're saying? I don't understand. That's
taking
what
a
I'm
full
asking.
sum
From ARPA.
from ARPA
Okay.
to fund that project, to complete that project, to get that done.
Right. I just wanted to make sure I understood what you were saying.
Again, we know the system's failing. We've been addressing it, and God forbid, it finally goes down and we lose the system. We're in
Right. But
serious issues then.
that's why you confused me when you were talking about town meeting.
Oh,
ARPA doesn't have to be voted for
No,
town
no.
meeting. That's why you said.
no, we could utilize this money to
Right, okay,
dedicate
that's-
now.
Right, that's what I'm saying, that's why I asked the question. That's why I asked, I was confused which way you were talking.
So, and I understand, the want to help out the water districts. Again, I think the money could be better allocated to go towards the radios for the sure thing to make that happen. And if we have a little left, we can give them money to address some of the issues.
So, my problem is we've already voted the 200,000 to High Street. So we already said we would commit that, and then we're gonna backtrack now. So I have a problem with that. I would, and I'll also say that the Warren Water District had this in early, right? So we've known about this for a long time. I was looking at if we, first of all, the grit screw is not gonna get us a grit screw, it's gonna get us consulting time. So I'd be willing to give up the 29,000. I'd like to help out the West Warren Water District, but again, that came in later. So I'd be willing to donate that to the radios. And then don't we have roughly 10 grand in the nursing row,
That was allocated.
right? And we've,
I don't know if they have spent, I think they've spent a little bit more this last 2 months,
okay.
so I would have to get that number.
Because, so about 72,000 would come out of those.
Yeah, and all the other things have already been paid out.
Yeah, they're all zeroed out, basically, so.
So that's money's already been spent. So when we're looking at it, the biggest ticket item there that we can do is the Warren Water District, which has not been spent.
The other thing is, what if we allocated what we think is like the maximum amount of our 20% for the EDA master plan, which was a $350,000 plan, right? So let's say that plan comes in at 150. We over allocated, so what happens to the difference?
No, you
Do we
only,
get that back?
you only allocated 70,000.
Right.
Right, 20% of 350, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
But say the master plan comes out to 150.
Okay,
So now we owe 30,000.
correct.
So we have a $40,000.
So you still have
Overage.
40,000, right.
Do we get that money? Or does that
Well,
disappear into?
No, we'd have to see if these funds expire.
Right, that's, I guess, what I'm getting at. We over budgeted and then we need less.
Mhm.
So we have $40,000 in my
Mhm.
example
Mhm.
that we have available again. Do we really get that, or did it disappear because we didn't spend it
Well,
in
yeah.
time or something? I don't know. I mean, I thought we had this March 31st deadline,
We,
right?
yeah, I had to have everything to me so that I could do it tomorrow.
Okay.
So.
So then the question
but
is, what if-
The thing is if it's allocated to something, then we have that money allocated. And therefore, we have until 2026 to spend it, as long as it is allocated to something. Now.
As long as it's allocated to something. Okay.
Yes, correct. Now, on the Warren Water District and the West Warren Water District, since they are entities and they are not part of the town, we can give them the grant. They have to pay back that grant by 2026.
Okay, all right. But so you're saying we've reserved 70,000,
Correct.
and if we only need 30 when it comes down to it,
Then we can
we
allocate
didn't
it
lose
some-
the 40?
No.
Okay, all right, that's fine. And so just continuing the conversation, then, we need to take this almost $6,000 of leftover and stick it in one of these spots, right?
Mhm.
So we don't, otherwise we lose $6,000.
Mhm.
Okay, all right.
So, you know, and I'm assuming that
$6,000.
the west, or the water districts are okay with paying this money back by 2026.
I don't think they know that.
Well, why would they pay it back if we're gonna give them the money out of here?
Because we don't can give them a grant.
They're private entities.
It's not it's not giving money to them. We're giving them a grant that they have to pay back to us. So we get that money back. Because, again, they're private.
So when,
Well, I don't understand. I thought it was part of the whole thing where they got the 200,000.
When I listened to the last ARPA meeting, they said specifically, you may grant private entities, but it needs to be paid back by the end of the ARPA, which is 2026.
And then what do we do with the 200,000?
I don't
It's
know.
ours?
Yeah, it is ours.
Use it for something else.
All right, I don't know that any of either water or sewer were aware of that, I guess. Well, the sewer is probably.
Sewer is different,
Sewer's
yeah.
ours.
Okay, so I don't know that either water department was, well, they're not aware of that, there's no way, because I didn't know about it, I never communicated it.
Yeah, we just recently found out about that.
All right, so I don't know if they're prepared for that or not. I think, like I thought, and
It was
they
just,
assumed
yeah.
it was.
Well, that's what I thought too, until I
Yeah.
listened to that. And they said, okay, if you give it to a private entity in your town, they have to pay it back by the end of ARPA.
Which is 2026. Wow, okay. Holy crap. That's like a big effing wrinkle. Right?
Especially if the paperwork's gonna be in tomorrow, it's a big wrinkle.
So that's why we need to decide on this. And I think the best option would be to dedicate the money to the radio sources, and then whatever is left, we can work with. But if we throw that money towards their project, they can complete that project, that's a major project off of the board for us, and it improves public safety. And we could always deal with them later somehow, you know.
Okay, so then my next question is, let's say we reduce them to 100,000, right? all they're getting is a free loan from the town, they may say, okay, that's all right, we'll just figure out another way to pay for it. What happens to the 100,000? Is it still ours to use?
It can, if tomorrow I dedicate it to the Warren Water District, then I can go back in and undedicate it and dedicate it to something else. But I have to have the money put in to
Okay.
something tomorrow.
Because they could turn around and vote and say, we don't want a loan. Or they might say, yeah, we could use it. We don't know.
Right.
But then we have to figure out a payment plan or whatever.
Yeah.
To get the money back.
How are we getting the money back?
Okay.
But that can be done at a later time.
You have any thoughts, Stuart?
Yes, sir. I hate the situation because we already spoke with water.
Right.
Mm.
But this is no brainer. This is so important for the security, not only first responders, police and fire, but any life. You can't play with lives. I support you, Mr. Chairman, about having those funds towards this project and dealing with the rest after that. I mean, just think about it, if knock on wood, but if something happens and something, because of the lack of communication, something really bad happens, it's not gonna be good.
Mm.
Jim, you have anything?
I can attest to, when I was in the schools last week, your junior firefighters were getting ready to conduct a class, and they were showing me some of the equipment. They were monitoring, their mobiles, and I could tell, just within the school, when those,
There's nothing in the school.
it was very difficult for them to
Yeah.
to communicate, and that scared me a little bit, and that concerned me,
Yeah, the
so.
schools are, because they're basically a giant concrete box, and it's very tough for that. This system has accounted for that, and it should be a massive improvement for what we currently have.
Mhm.
Again, for us, we're just a single repeater site, that's it. Whatever buildings are in the shadows and something, and the streets that are in the shadows, we're just not gonna get reception, because we have a single site. This is a 3-site system, which means it encompasses everything within the community.
Do you guys have anything else?
No, I mean, like I said, I would never, we're not here asking the board to take money from others, that's not what we're doing, we're here.
We know
to
that,
present-
but we need to
Yeah.
allocate the resources.
No, and
That's
I understand, and I understand that. I do think that by, with those other grants pending and stuff, and if we are successful, there will be some money, there could be some money coming where they could use it for other such projects and stuff. But, again, you do run the risk of, especially this year with budgets, recessions, and everything else going on. You put money on a town meeting, yeah, it could potentially get turned down. This would be a way to avoid that and use these funds that we never saw coming from COVID.
And
The
we
other
don't
thing is
know.
lead time
I mean,
to get-
come
of getting
in May,
equipment.
we could have another.
And we could get more later
I
on.
mean, right now, we don't have an indication whether another round of ARPA funds are coming. They could be coming, but, all I know is that, this is probably gonna be good for 90 days, and the prices just on everything continue to go up. So, I mean, if we look at this project 6 months down the road and go past town meeting, you could add another 100,000 on at that point, and like I said, for the other towns that I'm seeing and some of the projects and problems they're having with some of their systems, I mean, this is a pretty reasonable amount for a fix.
And some of the
So-
stuff takes a while to come in. I mean,
Yeah.
the microwave lengths is up to 20 weeks. Base stations, 14 to 16 weeks. Monitoring hardware, 4 months to 6 months. So
The longer we put it off, the
longer
longer we
it takes
risk.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this one, this company, what was the first quote before?
The other company, you mean? The other company we had was, it was somewhere in that
First quote
range,
we had.
yeah, and then the other company came in at like 630,000 or something like that, so it was over by, like I said, that's why I do feel this is a reasonable bid. Or proposal, I should say.
Madeline, you have any thoughts?
There's only this way, or I understand what Adam was saying, you could take 150,000 from free cash. Then if the grant comes through for the assessment for Rutland, that would revert to the next year's free cash. So it's either way. I mean, that's.
But the town has to vote on it.
Yeah, but ARPA, they don't, they would have to vote on free cash.
And if they say no,
Right. I don't think they would, but to be safe, I agree, to be safe rather than sorry, just vote it to just give them the money and then the project's, it's a go. And the town can use $150,000 out of free cash for something else that the town needs.
I know you're stuck on it.
I am.
You hate to go back on what was said, but
But
the rules have changed too.
But on the other hand too, David, they don't realize they have to pay the money back.
Right.
If you tell them that,
The
they may
rules
not
have
even
changed
want
on
to.
that.
I mean, maybe you can make a quick call tomorrow morning and say, listen, by the way, we forgot to tell you, we need the answer by noon. This is only gonna be a grant and you need to repay us. And they may bow out.
Yeah, but we gotta vote on it tonight.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, today's the 31st.
And then if we try to post another meeting,
Yeah,
we're
no,
not
I
gonna make
understand,
it
today's the
time.
31st, that's all, I
Yep.
understand.
So, option two, what if we take the grit screw consulting fee and the 14,000 left over? So we've already wiped out the West Warren Water District, and we add that to the High Street.
Hmm?
So we take the grit screw consulting fee
Mhm.
and the 14,000 overage.
It's actually only 4 because the 10,000 that they need makes that 334.
These- All right, geez, Christmas. So how much is left over?
$4,337.08.
All right. And then, what about the nurses?
I would have to find that out from Tammy on Monday.
It's too late.
Well, we can as long as we allocate it, if that's what I understand, then we
That's what I
can move it
understand
later.
also.
So-
But I haven't gone into the system to see exactly how we have to do that yet.
So what we have, under option two, what we have to deal with is 4,337.
Correct.
We have to allocate that, and then this thing balances out to 0, and then we can move money around.
Yeah, but we
So-
still need to come up with,
No, that's, option 2 does come up with the 334,000.
and that's doing away with what?
West Warren Water District.
100, yeah,
and-
West
And
Warren.
dropping High Street.
Down to
So-
what?
To 100,000.
cut
To
it in half.
100,000?
So what I'm suggesting is take the grit screw money, put it under High Street, take the 4,000, put it under High Street, and then if there's nurses' money left over, maybe 8,000, move that to High Street.
So we need, for the radios, we need the 334,000.
187.
So the
So-
radios are covered in this option too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
we have 200,000 for that. And then if we
Well,
take
look at
another
that.
100,000 from,
David, look at option 2.
Turn your page.
It's all done for you, except for the 10,000.
Except, change this to 334 and change that to 4,337. We're gonna pull 10 out of here and move it up to radio.
10 out of,
The bottom
Yeah.
left to be spent.
14,000 is left over,
okay.
so we're taking 10 out of that and moving it up to the radios. So then we cover the radios and the study fee.
Yeah. And that gives you guys your radios. And we still, because we still have to ask them if West Warren wants to do the loan.
Right.
There's a chance they might turn around, and then we'd have that 100,000, but then we'd have to allocate that for other things after this. But as
Right.
long as we get into the, okay.
So all we have to do is use that 4,000 left over.
Allocate it somewhere,
So put it in High Street,
okay?
then we're down to 0. And that's what we turn in, and then we can move the money around after that.
Hmm.
Is that right?
Mhm.
Okay.
I can't touch anything that's already been paid. I can't touch that.
No.
No,
But
yeah.
everything
Yeah.
that hasn't been paid, we can move around.
But so, yeah, so we have the 29,000. We have some money from nursing,
Mhm. And the 100,000, and then the
And then
70.
4,337. And then, yeah, maybe something from the 70.
Okay.
And maybe we could give that to the West Warren Water District, and put their thing back in, the pH
Yeah.
control.
Right now is making sure we fund that completely, get that done.
But this
And then
would
we can
take care
move
of
around
it.
numbers later on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not completely happy about this, but I would be okay if we at least try and make up some of that money.
Yeah.
And I understand, they may not want to do it, but at least
We give them something.
they give the opportunity to say no, right?
I'm good with that. Eric, you good with that?
Yes, sir.
So option C, well, option 2.
Option 2.
Do you have anything about that, Jim? And again, thank you very much for working hard on that.
You're welcome.
And apparently the Shepherd Building ghost is saying, okay, I had enough. Stop talking about numbers.
Nobody objected. Yeah, right there on the corner.
He agrees.
Need some chewing gum?
That gorilla tape you have in the other room.
Yeah, we'll have to use it.
So, let's do a motion that, and then make this a done deal.
All right, so I'll make a motion to accept
Hold on
option.
1 second. You guys understand what's going on, right?
Yes,
I think
yes,
so,
and we
you,
appreciate the
appreciate it.
support, yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. I understand, appreciate you understanding the situation and being so supportive.
No, you guys look confused.
No,
for a second. What's going on?
I get it, I get where you're moving the
All right.
money to and everything, yes.
All right.
All right, I make a motion to accept option 2, as we've talked about, for the ARPA funding.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Rich Ihacker, aye.
The motion passes unanimously, and we'll go with option 2 for the ARPA fund distribution.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will work behind the scenes and get the information on the leasing and everything from each one. We'll get that to the board and to Jim and Karen and we'll, so that, and obviously finance, so that we can add those numbers in as they come available.
Okay. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
so next thing, town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board, members of the audience. Just a couple things I have to keep the board updated on a couple different matters. I received a correspondence from the Division of Standards, Office of Consumer Affairs and Business Regulation from the state. And it was just basically writing to inform us that the Division of Standards that has performed the weights and measures functions for the town pursuant to a contract between Warren and the Division of Massachusetts Municipalities. The contract, it was based upon Warren having a population of 5,000 to 20,000 residents, according to the U.S. Census, and can choose to contract with the division to perform services in relation to the divisions of weights and measures for inspections that are conducted within the town. The Division of Standards has conducted a study and has been notified that as of the 2020 census, U.S. Census, however, the town of Warren has fewer than 5,000 residents. As a result, the division is required to perform Warren's weights and measures functions. Therefore, the division will not renew the contract with Warren for the performance of these services, but will instead continue to perform Warren's weights and measures functions as part of the division's statutory obligation as of July 1, 2022. The next year, the division will bill Warren for the weights and measures inspections only for a period of January 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2022. Warren will not be responsible for costs of such services after June 30th of 2022. So basically, this they're billing us for services up until June 30th of this year. After that, they've recognized that since our population has dipped below 5,000, as according to the 2020 U.S. Census report, they're going to, because of the state statutory regulations, they're going to perform the same services, but not at a cost. Okay. I did check with our town clerk, Nancy Lowell, and she had indicated to me that Warren's population dropped down to 4975, according to the U.S. Census report that she has. So I did check with that. So I guess it's a little bit of a cost-saving measure to the town that that has been recognized by the state. Any questions on that? No.
Well, let me just ask, so we had to pay for it before, what budget was that coming out of, I guess?
Selectmen.
Oh, it was a selectmen thing? Okay.
Yeah, that's where the where it was allocated there. Also, I did receive correspondence from the Department of Environmental Protection with regards to Mass DEP's 2030 Solid Waste Master Plan, where it establishes goals to reduce the disposal of solid waste by 30% by the end of the decade. It sets a long-term goal of achieving a 90% reduction in disposal to 570,000 tons by 2050. To reach these targets, DEP will expand the current waste disposal bans. And they list these waste disposable bans in this notice and bulletin. This is something that I would check with our solid waste transfer station and our Board of Health with needing to update our waste ban compliance plan so that we're in compliance with DEP on this. I'll send you a copy of this memo that I received from the DEP, but I will also coordinate with our solid waste transfer station so that we can be in compliance with that. With regards to another correspondence I received from the Department of Public Utilities, there's a notice of filing a public hearing, an investigation by the Department of Public Utilities on its own motion into the role of gas local distribution companies as the Commonwealth achieves its target of 2050 climate goals. There's a couple public hearings via Zoom. If anybody's interested in attending, I do have this public hearing that they're going to talk about achieving their climate goals for up to 2050. May 3rd is the first Zoom meeting at 7 p.m. and Thursday, May 5th, there's one at 2 as well. And there's Zoom links provided. I will also forward you a copy of this should anybody would like to attend these particular hearings as well. I also had the opportunity to attend on the 28th of this month, on Monday, a summit for the Lappin Foundation, which was a two-step forward against anti-Semitism summit for the Massachusetts mayors and town officials. So I represented the town of Warren at this summit. They talked about some pretty interesting stuff with regards to anti-Semitism, anti-racism, LGBTQ community stuff, and the Lappin Foundation has made awareness in working with trying to disseminate information and educate the public on the definitions of anti-Semitism, of building bridges with communities, and trying to expand educational components within towns and cities across the Commonwealth. The city of Peabody, their mayor had introduced a proclamation with regards to recognizing the International Holocaust Remembrance Day and recognizing the Holocaust Educational Month of January. And their mayor had introduced that piece of legislation and proclamation into the town, passed it, supported it, and he spoke about that piece of legislation at the summit. Spoke about another proclamation by the town of Danvers, Mass. Also did a International Holocaust Remembrance Day and made awareness of the 77th anniversary of the death camps over in Germany. So these were two proclamations that were sponsored by the town that were talked about, and just trying to raise awareness to, the definitions of anti-Semitism, examples of what can be done to educate communities more and to be more efficient. So that was, I had the opportunity to represent the town in that. There were some very good pieces. I do have copies of the proclamations if you guys were interested in reviewing those as well. I also wanted to bring to your attention the Worcester Regional Transit Authority. They had a board meeting on the 24th that I attended via Zoom, and they noticed me as a town representative there, and they had since sent me a email back to see if I would be the board's representatives or the town's representatives at going to these Zoom meetings with dealing with the transit authority. They asked me for my certification for the Code of Ethics and also for my certification for the open meeting law. I did provide them that information. I'm assuming that I would be the representative. Should you choose somebody else, I could notify them as well.
So we voted Mike Lipinski last time.
Yeah.
And we did a motion for that. We could do a motion to vote you to represent the town on that capacity for that board. So we can do that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Jim representative to the WRTA.
Second?
All in favor?
Rich Ihacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. You're representing us now.
Okay, thank you very much. Obviously, I know we talked about it previously, but the EDA application was submitted today. Again, thanks to everybody who participated in it. Those grants, especially the federal grants, are very time consuming, and to do this within 2 weeks worth of time, and everybody's coordinating different aspects of it was really unbelievable. And really thank you to everybody that was involved in it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for all that and the information. And we appreciate that. And did you have anything else?
And one other thing that I'm gonna be working with the town accountant, and with our town treasurer, is to come up with a statement of revenues and expenses that we can monetarily track on like either a monthly basis or bi-weekly basis, so I can incorporate this into my administrative town report to the board.
Very good.
So I think it's kind of important to kind of give us an overview of where we are in the financial picture, whether it doesn't have to be every Board of Selectmen meeting, but if it's, you know, every other or once a month, to incorporate that into my report, I think to the board would be helpful, and also would, I know we want to talk about next year's budget cycle as well, but I think this would also help us along too, as a component to that.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Me too.
Good. Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else, sir?
Nope.
Okay. All right, moving on to comments and concerns. Does anybody have any comments or concerns? Yes, sir.
I have a small comment. I know, here in the center of town, the train goes by, right? And there's a bridge, and people walk underneath. I know the bridge doesn't belong to us, but it looks kind of like creepy over there. There's a way we could, send a letter to the train guys saying, look at this, it doesn't look good. I mean, the structure looks all rusted.
We can send it, but
I don't know, it just doesn't.
I think we've struggled with that bridge forever,
I think
right?
CSX looks at that all the time.
Yeah, they,
Yeah, they inspect it all the time.
But there's
It doesn't
trees
work.
growing out of it.
No, it doesn't, but they're always there inspecting it.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not looking for pretty, they're looking for structural.
yeah.
yeah.
They don't tend to respond to a whole lot. I know the board sent them can you clean up the vegetation on top, because it looks terrible. They just, unfortunately, you're not gonna get too big of a response from them.
Yeah.
You
But
know.
even the structure,
And with them, they do drive, and we get notified that they're gonna be driving the tracks and doing a clearing of the vegetation. And they actually do some cutting, but they do a majority of spraying. And they notify us because they're gonna be doing a spraying during a certain amount of time. And we've put that out in meetings before about the spraying. So, it's hard dealing with them. They gotta do it cheapest way they can,
I understand, but
But I think if we reach out, we can at least try. So, I don't know, if that's something you can do, Jim?
Sure. Absolutely.
Let them know that we have some concerns with the bridge and it's
Mhm.
looking unsightly.
Mhm. And it's the one you come right over here, right?
yeah, they want to go underneath the train.
Yeah, right.
Maple Street.
Yeah.
Maple Street.
Yeah.
I see kids all the time walking over there, I walk sometimes down there, it just, it doesn't look as nice as everything else.
So would you like some type of paint or?
No, what I'm looking first is the structural. If you look at the columns, they look all rusted at the bottom, it doesn't look good, and then there's water coming down, and,
Mhm.
kids walking by, people with dogs.
Mhm.
First get the structure, then maybe we can, come up with ideas.
Make sure nothing will fall down on
Mhm.
people.
So safety.
Safety first.
There are pieces of the ceiling that come down, because I walk through there every day.
Yeah.
And there are pieces that come down, you can see it on the ground.
When
And
the
then
train is
ice
going
and
by,
stuff.
I don't go underneath. That's for sure.
Okay, I'll
I'm not
definitely,
gonna take a chance.
I'll draft the letter and let you review and then I can.
That would be
send it out.
great, yeah, thank you. I think a lot of people would appreciate it.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it, sir.
Jim, do you have any comments, concerns?
No.
Karen?
Just one, I think we need to start announcing the annual town meeting and to let people know. And I think we should do it at the beginning and at the end. of each of our meetings.
Okay. And
The
When is that
time,
annual town meeting, David?
it's coming up on us quick. It's May 4th. And 14th, May 14th. And we are starting at 1 o'clock?
12:30 special, 1 o'clock.
12:30
annual.
special, 1 o'clock annual, so. yeah.
We'll be done by 5.
Yeah, if we can start adding that to the agenda, and we'll not.
That wasn't, it's not an 11:30 special?
No, 12:30.
Okay,
Yeah, and we're not going to be in the auditorium, we will be in the gym.
okay.
And they said that they have updated their sound system for us.
Oh, yeah.
And Nancy is working on whether or not we have to put paper down. And they will do all the labor to set it up because they're taking us out of the auditorium
Because of the play?
because of the play. It was just making the band teacher nervous because she couldn't get the instruments in there to practice before the play. So,
Well, it was gonna be tight,
It
no
was
matter
gonna be
what,
tight.
so, yeah.
so,
Maybe we could raffle some tickets for the people.
When you're done with the town meeting, you go see the play. All right.
I am, still.
Does anybody out there have any comments or concerns?
I just have one, one up Adam. We got another grant this month.
Oh, very good.
Oh,
Awesome.
Just for one AED.
Really? Hey,
Yeah.
you know,
The state's giving us $1,600 to purchase a.
very good. Very good. Congratulations. Adam, where are your grants?
I closed out 2.
I asked you before I said it, and I said, did you get any grants this month?
The 2 DCR grants we have received all the stuff. They just came in. We just put our new backpack water bags into service. They're all on the brush trucks and everything right now. The other DCR grant, we got in the coats for the brush fires, so those are in as well. And I think I mentioned our ambulance is in production at this point. I'm still working on our Engine 5 project that's become slightly problematic. We're trying to replace that, but the company or the facility that was gonna build it, and I was about ready to go through that last process, more than a third of it burned down 2 days ago. So it's been a problem from the beginning. Unfortunately, they had
So the place that builds the fire trucks burned down?
Yes, it did, yes. It's 2020, so, it's been good for a couple of years. But yes, they're a company out of Canada. Hopefully they can recover. I've been in touch with them. They're looking at probably a 30 to 60 day turnaround time to get things back on production and stuff like that. But about a third of the complex burned in a fire.
Wow.
So it's very unfortunate at this time in the age, especially with all the problems with, backups and stuff. But we're gonna work through it, so I'm working with the accountant's office and stuff. So we're getting close to signing a contract on that and getting that at least in queue. But it's gonna take a year to build, so.
Figure they don't have the stuff in stock, huh?
No, and unfortunately, like I said, the biggest problem with these builds now, I mean, I'm doing changeovers on a regular basis, even for the ambulance, because all the interior parts, there's so many companies out there that can't supply the stuff right now, that you gotta change a color, because they can't get that color, they gotta change the style cabinet, because they can't, the manufacturers of the roll-up doors don't have any more. It's brought everything to such a crawl that, it affects every little portion of these projects because of the supply and demand issues that we're seeing right now. So I'll keep the board updated, but we did get a good amount of the physical grant stuff in recently, so that's a good thing.
Very good. All right, anybody else have any comments or concerns? No? Anybody in Zoom world have any comments and concerns? Do we even have anybody in Zoom anymore?
We have 2.
2 people.
No. Okay. Going once, going twice?
sold.
Nothing, all right. So, next meeting, that is April 7th, right?
6 p.m.
6 p.m. So, once again, hopefully we'll be able to finalize a few more things and get past a lot of this stuff here. So that's April 7th, 6 p.m. for the next meeting. And then, favorite part of the night.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Rishi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne? Aye. We are adjourned.